Oh, okay. Yeah, a little later than usual, compared to how I started my previous streams, but it's had some plans I wanted to fill into earlier today before doing this. But yeah, I think we're starting now. Let me see. I wouldn't be surprised if just got done with plans, whatever I had going on. Um, all right. Anywho, minute in. There we go. All right. Welcome everyone to Sea Monster Live number 43. We're going to be talking about Jurassic World Dominion again. What are you saying? Yeah. Let me check. Yeah. Wait a sec. Oh, no. Nope. Don't leave the studio. I know. Oh. It's kind of a going through here.
Skip it data. I miss when he was a good channel.
Ah. How are you doing?
Dude, I'm living, doing things. Yeah. I know there's a certain blocky person. Some may call him the world of crafting minds. I know he is very far away from me right now, but also in the grand scheme of things, actually incredibly close. So we're going to plan to meet up sooner and or later. We'll see where that goes. But,
cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
But how's things going with you?
Doing pretty good. Kind of like was in the middle of doing something, earlier today. That's why I kind of had this stream start a little later than usual, but and it was even like in a bit of state of flux of what time, but I was able to get it done.
Oh, that's good though. At least like that's literally the one thing I have to say that's like bugging me at the back of my head right now has been consistently being like, what am I gonna upload while I'm away at G-Fest?
Yeah. Should be expecting a few other people.
Oh, nice.
I know C Animus wants to join as well.
Oh, does he? Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, for this video, or not this video, this stream, we're going to be kind of discussing about the art of visual narrative, like sort of like the stuff about that, philosophies behind it. And we'll be using a springboard. We'll springboard off of that discussion by discussing a video from a username Terradome 3000 TD3K on the visual narrative in Jurassic World Dominion.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with Terradome. I haven't watched this particular video. It looks like it's about 2 months old. I am subbed to him. I don't have the bell rung for notifications, but yeah. Okay. So
what are your thoughts on him, just in general?
I know that apparently he is a controversial figure in the Jurassic community. The drama surrounding that I am not particularly sure about, but I know that there is some drama there. He worked a little bit, if I recall correctly, he was someone who worked on Fallen Kingdom, and then I think he did other work in the franchise. I know he did stuff for, I think he did the visuals for the dinosaur protection group that talked about the various species that weren't extinct on Nublar. I think that's what he did, and sort of setting up the idea like around like what InGen's list specifically was, and sort of the behind the scenes stuff like that related to that. So he's definitely like, he has some professional relation to the Jurassic franchise. I'm not sure what his experience or what he did when it came to Dominion, for example. So I don't know whether or not why or how he'll paint certain directions, choices in that film. Whereas with Fallen Kingdom, I don't think necessarily that he'd be biased because he worked on it, but I think he would be more partial to it because that was a professional gig that he did do, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm not really. Yeah. As far as like what could be described as controversy, I'm not familiar with that at all. Like, I mean, I mainly just kind of became aware of it because of this video. Like, it was kind of recommended, to me,
Okay.
and so I just kind of like, so yeah, and then we just kind of go from there. He actually has put down, commented on the Jurassic World Dominion discussion stream that I did a couple weeks ago, kind of responding to, responding to some of the points that we kind of made throughout that stream. It like kind of defenses sort of, but I mean, there was like a couple, but mainly it was just stuff that he was like that aren't necessarily like huge in terms of like fixing the film in terms of plot, but just like some details that we pretty much may have missed that would make certain scenes a little better. Pretty much like apparently for example, when Omar Sy's character Barry is trapped by the Atrociraptor in the truck, he doesn't shoot it because apparently there's like gas canisters that are like right around where the Atrociraptor is, so he didn't want to take a risk at shooting at the raptor in case he missed and did something even worse, get himself killed potentially. As well as the fact that apparently when I guess like when the power at the Biosyn facility was like rerouted by the protagonists, like the protocol that the dinosaurs were under due to brain implants to have them like all converge into the courtyard to be safe in the wildfire got reset, and that's why they all started leaving, and that's why it seemed like even though there was supposed to be like a lot of dinosaurs that were going there, like when we get to the Rexy and Giganotosaurus fight at the end, like there's hardly any dinosaurs left save for those two and the Therizinosaurus.
Okay.
But,
I'm looking right now at that stream because I'd listened to some of it and I was probably going to listen to some of it later tonight too.
I mean, just going off the comment, just going off the response, the comments and my little back and forth with him, he seems at least pretty. I mean, he seems pretty chill.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything like too bad about him, and like the people I have heard who have said ill of him, I don't really hold necessarily in the best regard anyway. So It's sort of like maybe it's nothing burger, maybe it is something. I don't know. I've never had any bad interactions with him, so I can't really say that he has been particularly poor towards me or he's given me a poor impression. So I like him.
Yeah.
As well as it's also cool that like it wasn't even like you guys didn't do a video on him. He just so happened to comment and did 2 comments at that.
Yeah, it's like when I announced that this stream was happening, like I think I may have even like hashtagged him.
Okay.
So
that might have helped.
Also, see Animus, how you doing?
Hello. How is everybody?
Who?
Pretty good.
No, I just realized now I need to definitely do like my character in a really cartoony manner, just doing the Who. Or that I just need to really design like an owl monster now. Like at this point, the fans demand it.
That'd be a great thing for like a comic book, just a random reference where like we need to stop the monster. We need to get somebody in to stop him. Just someone turns around and goes, "Who?
Who?" Oh, actually, speaking of that video, I realized there was one opportunity that you missed. Have you played Metal Gear at all?
I'm aware of it. Never played it myself.
Okay, I'll have to send you a clip. It's from Metal Gear Solid 5, where one of the villains is like, "Such a lust for revenge. Who?" And I was like, "Oh, if you've done that as well, or like Photoshop my face onto that character, I would have died."
Well, the there's another video that's well.
Oh,
nearly
if there
done.
is, I'll send that.
So-
I'll have to send that clip then to you.
Do.
Do.
I said the last video of everything to do with the person-shaped pile of piss-stained pus. That is the current antagonist.
Oh, we don't we just love when Italians refuse to admit defeat.
Oh,
You know,
happens-
sir,
Happened twice already.
You have.
That's why I like
no
the French
idea.
instead.
As well as like the amount of just sycophantic fans of his like
That's-
responding to it is
That's one
hilarious.
thing. That's one thing I'm going to be mentioning. But the other thing is something I'm kind of annoyed that Minecraft isn't here
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he knows what I'm talking. He knows what I'm probably going to be referring to. But yeah, there is stuff that he's done.
oh boy,
Jesus Christ!
Oh, jeez.
Lord have
Oh,
mercy.
Lord have mercy.
We must stay focused,
yeah.
brothers.
You know, I
But
can't.
yeah.
You know, the thing. You know what? It's funny. Like I first thought that the whole interaction with like Adam Does Movies. You know, when he like mentioned that, oh, there's gonna be some guy doing doing a stream on my Nosferatu videos. Like I thought that was gonna be like the peak of like wackiness and what have you. Like I really did.
Yeah,
Trust me, when
It's-
big
it's-
YouTubers get an ego, get their ego hurt, it can always get worse.
Of
it's
course.
spectacular though. It's just a car crash, a human-shaped car crash, which would explain his
know.
face.
I
Like,
love
honestly,
I-
when he said that you were begging for a reaction, like I knew that wasn't
seen
true,
my
and I was
short?
like, how can he lie
Hey,
about
guys.
it? Yeah. I also
Yeah.
saw the short, yeah, but even
Yeah.
before the short, I just knew that wasn't the case. So I was wondering, like, do his fans actually believe it, or is it maybe it's like a joke?
They don't.
Like,
They don't look at his stuff. I asked a bunch of them in his recent
So-
one when he retweeted my short video. Hello, he
Mhm.
posted a load of screenshots of just my tweets. So then I went and asked all his fans who replied to his repost. It's like, have you actually looked at at what he's put on there? Most of them didn't reply. A couple who did just said, "I'm not going to go counting your tweets for you" or some rubbish like that. And then genuinely, there were a couple who replied who just like wanted a conversation. So they're not
So,
all
how are you guys
shitheads.
doing?
Pretty good.
Levin.
So, yeah. Hey guys, sorry I'm late. I didn't know that you guys were going to do this early, so I thought you guys were doing it like at 8 hours or something.
No, I mean, I was honestly gonna be. I Kojima was having this be earlier, pretty much, but I kind of had something going on that needed to take precedent before this. So
So,
Just
yeah.
had the mistress, yes.
Also, yeah, as for me, I have some news. Do you want to hear it?
Sure.
So, yeah, I dropped out of college. So, yeah.
Oh yes, I remember you saying on Twitter.
That's not like a bad thing or anything. Like honestly, nowadays, dude, like for example, I have languages and all of that, and you get like these call center jobs. Like I think you can get like something good even if you don't go to college. So,
Mm-hmm.
what were you studying, by the way? Just for context.
Like in high school, I was going for the economics.
Okay.
I would also say too, like even if you're not going to college, I'm not sure since obviously different country and all that. Doing trades and stuff or learning a trade, that's a big thing that's gonna get you a leg up, especially because there's always going to be trade jobs available. So you're always going to find a place to make money if you have something like that under your belt. Plus, like nowadays, like even though like I'm going for higher education, so it's to some degree it is kind of like a vanity thing at this point when it comes to college degrees, all that. But I think that like there's no reason to think lesser of someone if they drop out or they can't attend college.
Oh no.
There's
Yeah, yeah.
very
No.
smart people I know who never went to college or just don't have the opportunities to go.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of I felt a little bit of sense of self-doubt in myself because going to college, it was probably one of the most stressful, agonizing, and overall just I felt just so hatred towards myself. Like, what am I even doing in this miserable place if I'm just doing this for nothing? I felt just wasteful in general.
I mean, were the girls hot?
Hey, sometimes if we're just around cute girls, there ain't nothing better than
That was literally what I was about to say. That college is essentially an expensive place to find women.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I mean, I did met a couple of friends out there, and yes, I did befriended a couple of girls out there. Though, sadly, I did not found a girlfriend there. Yeah.
hey, don't worry about it, man. You'll find someone.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, don't worry.
And if you don't find her in college, you'll find her like at the cemetery or a hospital in the morgue. There's always options.
Yeah, there's so many
Or
options.
skip diving behind your local business. It's always there's plenty of places.
Yeah.
So
Everyone's time comes one way or another.
Exactly.
okay.
And yeah.
So
And
Yeah,
if you
man.
live on Sea Monster's basement, you can always adopt.
so well, can we on the topic of this video? Have any of you guys watched it?
I actually did not watch this video yet. I watched a few bits of it. I think literally just 10 seconds or so.
I watched it
Yeah,
and I
any of
don't
you-
remember it
To any
because
of you
so much
familiar
has
I've
with
watched
gone on.
it.
this YouTuber is kind of very divisive towards the Jurassic community. If you've seen a couple of his videos.
Yeah,
Oh, I remember
I
now.
did mention that earlier.
Yeah, I don't know anything about him.
Exactly, yeah.
I now I remember the video. Yeah, I remember. There were some things I agree with, but some things that I disagree with. Like I don't think it's a horrible video or anything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's a good springboard. Could be, or at least a very good springboard for to kind of discuss like what about visual narrative as a concept for storytelling.
Yeah. And also movie production because there are a couple of things that when I watched it, I was like, there's some things that we can discuss like from like internally how a film is made and
Yeah.
all of that.
Also, I forgot to ask you, Cianis. This might be a very odd topic thing to ask you, but it might be a dumb thing to me to say. But, Cianis, do you know of the documentary called Prehistoric Planet?
Hang on. I was gonna say yes, but I might be thinking of Walking
If you need
Dinosaurs.
context, basically it's like the latest, best. Actually, no, it's not the latest. It's like the best dinosaur documentary that there's basically ever been since Walking with Dinosaurs. It came out a couple of years ago, and
It
it's
came
on
out the
Apple
exact
Plus.
same time that Jurassic World Dominion did,
Monarch.
and everyone compared it to it.
Mhm.
Oh no, then I didn't see it.
It arguably has probably the best T-Rex design in terms of accuracy.
Yeah. It's basically the one they have in that museum, the one that's known as the most accurate T-Rex. That has like a maquette, basically, and that one that's the one.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Walking with Dinosaurs came back again, and apparently it sucks.
Yeah.
So, pain.
What's interesting
Oh.
about that is I've seen bits and pieces of it. I'll say this: general CGI, like modern CGI, has a really weird uncanny valley. It seems from like modern dinosaur stuff. Sometimes it looks really good, like Prehistoric Planet, and then Walking with Dinosaurs case, it feels really off. And I also
they didn't
watched the
finish
original
it.
recently, and
Oh, the original is better when it comes to anime. Even though, for example, the T-Rex is ugly as fuck, right? But like
Yeah.
the animation is stiff. It's so stiff now.
Another
it
thing
used to be more
too,
fluid.
that, but also the original the trilogy, Monsters and Beasts, they used a lot of physical props as well.
Practical, yeah,
Yeah,
puppets,
practical effects mixed with
animatronics.
the CGI that like helped in that case. And then there was a lot of cases where they had physical props, but then they also had physical props that were enhanced by CG. I know, like the one scene where they have the mom T-Rex drop the meat in front of the babies and is like nudging them to eat it. It's a physical prop that was then enhanced with CG for some shots, which I think made those shots with the dinosaurs and the environments blend a little bit better together.
Oh yeah.
And another thing too is that how it's set up, it's not set up like the original series where it just feels like they're documenting dinosaurs. But
this one has paleontologists.
Yeah. It's closer to like a mixture of what's it called? Dinosaur Planet and When Dinosaurs Roamed America, in the sense that it has like how Dinosaur Planet, they have all the dinosaur characters with like names and stuff.
Yeah.
Because in Dinosaur Planet they had like Pod, White Tip, Alpha, Dragonfly, all those. And I know in the Spinosaurus is like because I know the Spinosaurus and the new one's named Sobek. I forget what the name of the baby Triceratops is, but
Clover.
she also has a
Clover.
Yeah, she has a name. But then it's similar to how Dinosaurs Roamed America, where in between shots of like them talking about dinosaurs, they'll go back to the present and have paleontologists looking at certain scenes and stuff. So it's like a mixture of those two documentaries, which both those documentaries were really good. Like you have John Goodman doing a dinosaur documentary in When Dinosaurs Roamed America, and Dinosaur Planet was a good documentary.
Dinosaur Planet, when I was a little kid, like the pod episode made me cry. You know, when it gets separated from like the brothers and it ends up on the island, it's so fucking good. Like the narrative was really good.
Yeah.
But for what I've seen,
on the topic of the dinosaur documentaries that we watched in childhood, Lau, have you seen the documentary Monsters Resurrected?
The thing is, a lot of these documentaries will have different names in my language. So let me see. Dinosaur.
No, Monsters Resurrected.
Monsters Resurrected. Okay, let me see. Monsters Resurrected. Let's see. Oh, I don't think so. Let me check.
I can also DM you.
This is the edgy Spinosaur. No, then I did not. I did not.
The one that's heavily inspired by Todd Marshall's Spinosaur design.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it has.
No,
that one
I never
has
did.
some good episodes, and some of it doesn't. Like I think their Acrocanthosaurus episode's okay. I like the design of the Acro in that episode, but the Spino is like the series is known for that Spino episode.
So what if you can see?
Hey, Animus, have you watched any of the dinosaur documentaries from those early 2000s?
Probably.
I probably watched a lot of stuff on the History Channel, but they weren't necessarily documentaries. That's the problem. Some of them, the History Channel after 2 a.m. like starts doing some weird shit, so they will have like dinosaur fights and stuff like that.
Dinosaurs are aliens, confirmed.
Yeah.
Jurassic,
or Nazi dinosaur aliens.
Oh god.
That was an interesting series.
Yeah. I pretty much remember growing up with Walking with Dinosaurs and Prehistoric Planet, the old versions, essentially, like the version of Walking with Dinosaurs that was narrated by Kenneth Branagh, that also was like with also the companion piece of like the Ballad of Big Al, about the Allosaurus.
Oh yeah.
And Prehistoric Planet is like the.
What? Did he just cut out?
He got muted.
So, Cianimus, have you ever watched Planet Dinosaur?
Oh, I think that's the. I know which one that is too. That one also has a Spinosaurus in it as well.
Yeah, and it's probably my personal favorite Spinosaur design.
It has an interesting Allosaur in it too. I like the Allosaur design for that series.
What are your thoughts on Dinosaur Revolution, Zim?
The thing with Dinosaur Revolution is that I like the series for what it is it's kind of because if I remember correctly, I think Ricardo Delgado, who did some of the early concept stuff for the like Godzilla before it became 98, was part of this series. And it was supposed to be like similar to his Age of Reptiles comic, which is why you have more of the comedic anthropomorphized elements to the series. But I think that there are some designs that are pretty cool. Like it's interesting that you get to see Sorasuchus in a documentary, although I think the green is super distracting on the head, but the overall body and stuff's pretty interesting.
The
Yeah.
T-Rex.
What?
That T-Rex is probably it's up there with Monsters Resurrected Spinosaurus as like the edgiest theropod design that you can think of. Because you have a skull-faced T-Rex and Todd Marshall Rex.
What about the broken jaws Allosaurus?
It's an okay. Again, it's a well-paced story, very anthropomorphized. It's interesting that you follow Allosaurus outside of America, where it's in Europe instead of the Morrison. So you get to see like a larger Torvosaurus, and I think I had heard of Torvosaurus, but Dinosaur Revolution was my introduction to the animal of Torvosaurus because I think I had seen it in books, and if I remember correctly, it was in an episode of Dinosaur King. But like when I think of Torvosaurus, I think of Dinosaur Revolution.
Same. So, Lau, were you saying something?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that there are some points where that T-Rex from Dinosaur Revolution kind of reminds me of GMK's Godzilla because it's not necessarily hunchbacked or anything, but there are some pictures where it kind of looks like that. And like the kind of undead aesthetic or motif that it has more than an aesthetic.
Yeah,
It just kind of reminds me of it. It has like an air of GMK. By the way, I just think it's kind of funny how Sea Monster literally fucking disappeared. And Antonio was like, oh no. Anyway.
What? What?
You cut out for like a big second, and it was like, oh no. Anyways.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh wait,
so, yeah,
did you
I guess
think? Wait, did you think you were like? Do you think that we couldn't just hear you for that second, or we're just ignoring you?
I honestly I thought it would just been silent and letting you guys just kind of go pretty much.
Oh. Like it
So-
looked like you were about to
okay,
say
okay.
something, and then you just cut out, and we're like, oh no.
I mean,
Yeah, we thought you were.
So, Sea Monster, have you ever watched Dinosaur Revolution?
no, I haven't. And to be honest, I think we should probably cut that off in terms of like how many things. It's like, how many we could because we go on all day if about just
We
like
could.
have we watched this or watched that? Long before we could even get to the video, which apparently
Oh, okay,
Zim
yeah,
has
let's
screen
go.
shared, CMS has screen share. So now I have to flip a coin here in terms of who I'm doing.
You can do either one of us, because I was gonna say if I have to bounce, then I'm not
Wow.
sure if anyone else could do it.
Wow.
That's a clip.
Wait, what did I?
What?
You could do either one of us. Offering me up like that, Jesus Christ!
Oh
well,
my god!
I mean, what's it called? If we're gonna make
Consent,
it more gay,
man, consent.
think about it this way: C is blue, Animus is yellow. Together that makes green. There you go. You get a Zim.
Oh my god!
And I'm purple.
Yeah,
And then Lau's like,
so-
Lau's just his avatar just is perfect for these. He's like, I've had enough.
Innocent little doggy.
the dog.
Man,
Apparently, I've
doggy.
seen the meme of like that, so of like the doggo, pretty much that Lau's profile picture is. Like, apparently, it's like a dog with like its head like open, so its brain is exposed. Like, it's fucked up.
No.
actually.
It's
Wait,
not
what?
This, no. So basically, don't worry. Animus, it's Photoshop. It's not that there's like a picture of a dead dog. So this is a doggy who someone wanted to sell. And so they literally grabbed the dog with one hand because it was so tiny. They took a picture on a really ugly phone because this was probably in Latin America. And so if you look at the dog, it looks really weird. It looks like very poor quality dog or something like that. And then people just add stuff into it. And once I came here with a meme
Oh
version
god.
where the
God.
dog was like,
Today
getting
you
like
heard the news.
dopamine injected into its brain or something like
Did
that.
any of you hear the news?
Which was
Like about the
Michael Bay.
war.
Michael
yeah.
Bay,
Oh,
he's returning
uh,
to direct a Transformer movie.
fuck.
No, that'd be for another. No, that'd be for another stream.
That's what I was going
It's
to
a
say.
rumor.
Like
It could
that
be.
should
It
be
could
like
be. It could
no,
be.
no, no.
It could be
It's basically
untrue.
confirmed by multiple people at this point, and most of them are reliable sources within the Transformers community. So basically,
I will
even though it's a
believe it when
rumor,
I actually see like actual official news, and Michael Bay saying like, "Yes, I am coming back."
Yes, I was going to
okay,
say when
but
Michael
prepare
Bay
for the
says it.
worst. We have to be prepared for the worst, so I'm already assuming that it's true. Fucking Lorenzo, that fucking piece of shit, he did it. You know, like it's funny. Just like 3 days ago, I was telling someone, like there's this whole conspiracy about the producer of Transformers like sabotaging the last two movies on purpose just to get Michael Bay back. And what happened yesterday? Michael Bay supposedly back. So coincidence? I don't think so.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I cannot
but
wait.
to be honest,
Anyway.
like honestly, if the Transformers movie he's making is going to be sequel to the Last Night or whatever, it's like I'd pretty much rather see that than a GI Joe Transformers crossover at this point. I'm ready. Like,
It's
what
gonna
kind
be
of
a
insanity you
disaster.
got for us?
Yeah, it's like finish your mess, right? Like, you know what? I would almost respect that. Like, hey, you have this piece of shit, finish it again. You laid
Yeah,
it,
you have it.
you eat it.
Yep. Yeah, you like don't. Yeah, like you wanted to start. This is your mess. Clean it up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but if
before we end with the Transformers thing, I do want to say, if anyone wants to know, like what's current with Transformers that's like really good quality, there is a comic made by the guys from The Walking Dead. So Skybound has this new Transformers series
Oh
that's
yeah, I've
like
heard
really
this.
fucking good. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like really good. Okay, like surprisingly good. So yeah, if anyone wants to take a look at it, it's like really violent, but it's still Transformers. It's not like Michael Bay who took away the personality from everything. It's really good. Like I mean it. Probably top 10 Transformers storylines so far.
Yeah. So I'm pretty much gonna use do like Zim's screen share. But I'm gonna have
Baba
can you pretty much have it be like at normal speed because we can just
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
mine.
it's a short video too, right? I think it's like
yeah,
20
it's like
minutes
13 and a
maximum.
half minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Must resist the urge for speed.
You have
The
to resist
TikTok
it.
urge.
Yeah. Okay. Let me pull it up
Perfect.
here.
Alrighty. Let's go, gentlemen. Let's go.
What an image to start with.
In Jurassic World Dominion, there is a moment where the character Ian Malcolm throws a stick with a flaming locust into the mouth of the Giganotosaurus. The dinosaur then roars in defiance, blowing fire out of its mouth, looking very much like a dragon.
I don't know if it's defiance.
This vision.
I don't know if I would call that defiance. I think I would just call it just being like, "Ow, that fucking hurts."
Pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, this looks like a really cool thumbnail.
Without love.
Literally.
Like,
visual,
I could
whilst
see
fun,
it.
has mostly been dismissed by many as just a cool visual put in the film merely to thrill audiences. However, I think it holds a much deeper significance to the narrative around Bison and Dodson's story in the movie.
I do like, just to say, I do like the fact that he said, I think. That's
Yeah.
Given some of the things we've gone through recently, that is a nice touch.
Yeah. Like I think it would be interesting to see like how he rationalizes this. I think from what I have watched already, I think that the idea that he proposes is interesting, but I don't think it's necessarily supported by the film as a whole, but we'll get into it.
Same.
Yeah.
But I like that people try to find some value on this because honestly, like his ideas are more valuable than the movie itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Many archetypal dragons are depicted as entities which guard a hoard of treasure, or gold. As seen in Tolkien's The Hobbit with Smaug, a large fire-breathing dragon which rests within a mountain atop a pile of gold. This idea of dragons hoarding treasure originates from Persian mythology, where evil dragons guarding treasure are defeated, the treasure eventually passing to the king who represents the good. In Dominion, the Giganotosaurus sits upon gold in the form of the amber mines which run beneath the sanctuary in the Dolomite Mountains of Italy.
This must be the old amber mines.
Whilst not
What?
I don't know who wants to start. I guess main thing is like, in order for a dragon to like sit on gold and guard it, the dragon would probably have to be aware that it's there in the first place. Like, considering where the amber mines are, like how tight of a space it would be, the Giganotosaurus more than likely would never have even gone down that deep, so he wouldn't even be aware or even conceive of the value of that amber.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, in any case, every time you're dealing with dragons guarding treasure, they aren't guarding treasure because they don't know its value. They are guarding it specifically because it holds some significance to the dragon itself, as well as the people who are coming to grab the treasure. Like, at least a little information that he brought up is interesting about the idea of dragons sitting over treasure comes from Iranian mythology. The one I am most familiar with is Beowulf, where you have the dragon sitting on that mound of treasure, and it's because someone stole something from that mound that the dragon's roused, and Beowulf has to fight it.
Yeah.
I think that what's interesting is that this whole idea could work if the Giganotosaurus was like the only dinosaur in this movie, and in a way, if this wasn't like a Jurassic movie, if this was a like monster movie or a more like pulpy Hollow Earth type of story where like this is where the dinosaurs or the Giganotosaurus specifically came from, this motif would
also
have more like value to it.
But also you're missing one, like a third aspect that this will need to even like be considered reasonable, which is the Giganotosaurus needs to have it needs to be either a villain, or a character to begin with, and the Giganotosaurus in this movie is a piece of bread.
Also,
It's not even that. I wouldn't even say
Giganotosaurus
it's a piece of bread. It's like it is the most naturally acting theropod in the franchise, besides
which is
probably
a
the
problem
T
for
Rex.
this movie.
Exactly.
For me,
I
the reason why the Giga doesn't work as a villain is because not only does he not feel completely antagonistic towards the crew, but also he doesn't like feel any narrative purpose in the movie because it's all about the locust and not him. He really doesn't serve any purpose.
It's literally there for the T-Rex fan service. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Smaug, like the comparison between Giganotosaurus or a character like Smaug doesn't work is because Smaug not only is aware of the treasure, but he's aware of its value and why it means so much for the dwarves to to want to take it back. Like, which is why Smaug wouldn't even want to let them have it, like the Arkan Stone or what have you. And that's why when it was just going off of the Hobbit films here, not necessarily the book. When the dwarves and Bilbo sort of melt the gold and made a statue and tried to kill Smaug with the molten gold, that pretty much kind of gives Smaug enough reason to just kind of oh, you just fucked with my treasure. All right, now I'm just gonna you guys asked for it. I'm gonna blow up that what is it? What's that town down there? Lake Town. Yeah, I'm gonna burn that all to the ground. Because Smaug is very, he really likes that treasure. The Giga just doesn't. The Giga doesn't. The only reason why the Giga would care about the Amber Mines, if it was even aware of it, is because the Amber Mines is part of his territory. It's not because of the Amber itself, but just the land. Really.
Yeah.
It's
but
like
even then,
it's like if you have a dragon. It's like if you have a dragon that you're trying to, that's kind of being that's territorial, and it against anybody stepping into its place, trespassing, if you will. not and the gold or treasure is like just a couple floors underneath, and the dragon doesn't even know it's there.
Yeah. Well, I think that you could still have the idea of an animalistic dragon guarding treasure work, because ultimately that, like, even if it's just the dragon's territory, the dragon lives there. That's naturally where it's going to be. The Giga, there's no entrance to the Amber Mines that the Giga is going to go down there to actually, like, be like, this is where I chill. Like, hypothetically, if the Giga just decided, like, you actually had it sitting in the Amber Mine somewhere and they had to, like, sneak past it, that might strengthen this analogy and this comparison that they're making. But really, the only value that the Amber Mines have is to the people. The Giga has really no relation to it. And even if we're to say that the Giga came from these Amber Mines, Giganotosaurus isn't it's that species is even from this area of the world. Like, if we were in like Egypt or somewhere and there were amber mines there and that's where the Giga's remains came from. Actually, no, I'm thinking of Carcharodontosaurus, not even Giganotosaurus. If you're in South America,
think of Argentina.
Yeah. If we were down in Patagonia somewhere and the Giga was sitting in an amber mine, it'd be a nice visual flair. And I think that like the comparison would be stronger, but in this case, it just doesn't work.
So
yeah, and in response to Cyber, to respond to Cyber here.
Oh, Kasaiba has something to say. Sorry.
Yeah, just to kind of respond to it, he says, like, I think a better description for the Giga would be a guard dog and not a dragon. It's a little better, but even then, like, a guard dog would have, like, that would just imply, like if Dodgson, like, let's just say, like, if Dodgson sent, like, hey, considering that these dinosaurs have brain implants, like, if Dodgson, like, actively had dinos like the Giga, like, go after our heroes because he notices our heroes have, like, escaped the Amber Mines or what have you, then, yeah, that would be what, then the guard dog analogy could work, maybe. But yeah,
even then,
wouldn't
the Dimetrodon technically be more of a dog in that case because they're literally living in the mines?
Yeah, that's another thing too, is that the Dimetrodon fill that role better than the Giga does in this case.
Yeah, the Dimetrodons are actually more dragons than Giga because they actually live there.
Yeah.
So, Animus, do you have anything to say about this?
I think everybody's basically said everything that I was going to say. It just, it doesn't work.
Another thing too.
See what he says next.
Yeah, and like since we're talking about visual narratives, we never see the Giga interact in this location. So visually, the Dimetrodons, in a way, they feel either more like dragons or like, if we're using Lord of the Rings as a comparison, like goblins, kind of.
Yeah. And like the thing is, I feel like he's taking the visual in the most superficial way and applying it, and that's the problem. He doesn't really understand it. But again,
well,
it's not like
I think he understands it, but I think that like you really have to stretch to get to the point that he's making. Like, because I understand fully what he's trying to get across. I just don't think it all lines up well.
Yeah, I mean, let's just hear him out some more before we jump to let's hear him out some more before we jump into anything, jump to conclusions.
Let's keep going.
So far.
Actual gold, only gold in color, amber in the Jurassic movies is a source of wealth to those who wish to mine them for prehistoric DNA. And like Smaug himself, the Giganotosaurus, hidden within the mountains of Italy, also is seen sleeping, resting on its gold.
I want to say something else, because I think that it's important to say it. The amber, it can be valuable, but if it's illegal to make more dinosaurs, then it's not valuable anymore, and on the black market at this point, I think you have the DNA sequences already sold from the previous movie, so technically amber is not really that valuable.
I would say
it shouldn't be.
The thing that it would be more valuable for hypothetically would be in creating other species that Biosyn or InGen have not created, because you could, if we're to expand out and use like headcanons and stuff, there could be other people who make new species based on the genomes of already resurrected ones. But if you find amber with more complete genomes, then you would be able to sell species that have like more pure genomes, because there is a way to test that, because they talk about that with the Atrociraptors, as well as see that the Giga in the prologue looks exactly the same as the Giga we see here. So there are more pure versions of the dinosaurs that can be created. And going purely off expanded material, there are things you can do with the genomes to change them up. So like having more amber has some value, but for the most part, unless you're a major company, you're not really going to be able to do much with it because you're not going to have the
Yeah.
resources to create new species.
And the thing is, unless you have Wu, that's the thing. Like, could someone else do it, or do you need Wu specific? Since he's like the guy, can
Yeah,
other people do it?
there are other people who
That's
can
also the
do it.
question.
I think because, like, I think Wu is a forerunner in the field, but it was always stated that there were other people who could do what he did. It was just that he
Okay,
was the
okay.
best at it.
Yeah.
Waiting
Yeah,
to
back
be
up a couple
confronted by a
seconds so we
knight.
don't miss anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
like Smaug himself, the Giganotosaurus, hidden within the mountains of Italy, also is seen sleeping, resting on its gold as if waiting to be confronted by a knight. And speaking of knights, Ian Malcolm represents one such character taking on the dragon. In the scene where he causes the Giganotosaurus to breathe fire, the visuals presented within this scene are very much reminiscent of the story of St. George and the dragon. Most depictions show St. George thrusting a sharp weapon into the mouth of the dragon, which is exactly what Malcolm does to the Giganotosaurus.
He is working hard.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
just
pause
read
it right
out
here.
the verse. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth and his angels with him. Revelation 12, verse 9.
Oh, yay, that
Thanks.
revelation again.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. What do we have to say so far about that?
I think another thing
really
too.
stretching.
I think that the connections that he's building are interesting. And had I not seen the film, I would say that the visual story and like the tale that he is spinning is more interesting to me than the film and than the actual film itself.
Exactly.
I think another problem too is that a big problem people have with the Giganotosaurus from its design and to how like Trevorrow described the animal as being like the Joker, it makes the Giganotosaurus feel less like an animal and more like a monster, which is fine for me
Even
for
though
a movie, but like the big thing people have always complained about, I'm not saying this is my own particular critique, but a lot of people have always said they don't want the dinosaurs acting like movie monsters or having that type of symbology to them. And I think that in this case, I believe that this type of symbology in the story that he's coming up with, or at least the comparisons that he's making, would be interesting as like a follow-up to the novel, because you're moving away from genetic engineering and a more Frankenstein-esque symbology into more of a mythological dragon motif. I think those ideas are interesting to be played with, but just I don't think that the film, with all the connective tissue of the scenes provided, really supports this idea that he's giving us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of those things where someone has an interesting concept that they were inspired to come up with because of a movie. For example, there's a movie that most people can agree is not really good, which is Alien Covenant. However, even though the story itself is not good and the characters are not really good except for like one single character, Alien Covenant has so many interesting ideas and concepts that it's super easy to get inspired by it, even though it's a bad movie. I think that this is what happened to this guy. But as Cianimus said, he's reaching a little bit because I feel like this will be more applicable to what he's saying. And what
Yeah.
he's saying will be more applicable to the movie if, for example, the Giga died because of the spear. But since it's just like a little throwaway, even if someone said on the writing room, what if he throw a spear? I feel like someone will have replied, oh, like Saint George and the dragon, yes, and that's it. I feel like in the writing room that would have been like a throwaway line that someone said, almost like a meme or a reference, more than
Yeah,
something
and
that was supposed to have meaning from the beginning.
Yeah, and much like and unlike this film, Alien Covenant, like the sort of philosophical aspects that that film was trying to put forth in terms of like, look upon my works, ye mighty in despair, like that stuff is what was intended to be ingrained within the story, like about like how David is like Ozymandias, or or allegory for that. Whereas Dominion, it's just kind of like it's a very superficial visual, and whatever like interpretation you get from it about like something about like Saint what do you say, Saint George?
Saint George.
Or Saint George,
Yeah,
yeah.
Saint George.
Like that's something like you can read into, for interpretation. But was that really what the storyteller, what the author, even intended to be there in the first place? Whereas with Covenant, like you could at least Ridley Scott did intend for us to. I mean, it just kind of like explicitly. I mean, it's pretty explicit actually. Like just pulling the
Also-
line from Ozymandias and him referencing
Yeah.
Mary Shelley as well.
Mhm.
Also, if they really wanted to go with the St. George reference for the Giga, they should have Giga die in front of the roses or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. It should be the final thing to kill the Giga. To be honest, if it was really supposed
Yeah.
to be symbolic of that. But
Like,
also,
to be fair,
yeah,
so I was just thinking, like, because the whole thing of like throwing the spear in his mouth is like, well, that is a bit of a stretch of a connection because, oh god, Saint George had a lance. It's not a spear. You don't throw a lance. You ride on horseback and shove it in the mouth. The reason it went into the mouth is because traditionally the dragon is meant to be inspired by like I think it was a soldier killing a crocodile, and there was a crocodile skull put on a city somewhere in the Mediterranean. I can't remember which one now. Which for years, generations, they used to call a dragon skull until someone actually knew what a crocodile looked like, came up to it, and that's a crocodile skull. Anyway, the thing I was just thinking, someone just said, "Oh, he should have died from that wound." And I'm just thinking, why didn't he? Because that's just a big ball of fire in his mouth.
I don't think it would have killed
And-
him. I think it would have like definitely like it would have burned him. I think without a doubt.
It would have done some damage.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
why did he stick around after? If something's just attacked him with a ball of fire and would severely have, I mean, let's put it this way: someone puts a burning whatever in your mouth, you're not going to have a good time.
Mhm.
So the idea that this animal sticks around after that is that, especially after, because what ends up making him run away? I can't remember.
He
The
gets
taser
tased
and the
in the
stabs.
eye.
Yeah, the taser and like them stabbing
He gets
him.
tased in the eye and he runs away from that, but doesn't run away from a fireball in the mouth.
I think like in that case, it's like at a certain point you realize just the prey isn't worth, like the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Like, that's me. This is me being as charitable as I can be in that case, as well as I think really they wanted to do the T-Rex / the Spinosaurus again. But in the case of the T-Rex, like in both The Lost World and Jurassic Park, the characters didn't throw anything into its mouth or like hurt it directly. The T-Rex was in control in both of those instances. And then in the case of the Spinosaurus, you could make the argument that the Spinosaurus should have fled from wherever the plane went because it got hit on the side of its body. But I think that like probably they were trying to do what they did with the Spinosaurus in that case, where after it got hit, it just went after the plane. But,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know
Also,
what? Yeah,
Spinosaurus
I
in
never
general
thought
hates
about it.
humans.
Spinosaurus probably was so aggressive because it was pissed off. I never thought of that. I always
yeah,
thought
actually,
about it
fun
as
fact.
stupid monster.
No, because
Yeah.
if two things you can look at is that after it bites Cooper, when they pull up, you see a bunch of blood streaking the windows of the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you see the bull T-Rex smash the Spino in the face before it turns around and bites its neck, you see the gash from the plane on its flank.
Yeah.
Oh, I always thought it was, like, oh, evil dinosaur, but yeah, like the fact that it's just like super pissed off and it has like a grudge. Like,
Mhm.
I never thought of that. Now I need to rewatch it, just
Yeah.
Also,
because I feel like now it's more
Spinosaurus-
relatable.
Also, in this very case, the JP Free Spino just in general hates humans because of what they've done to him in the past.
Yeah. Well, and like another thing too is that like when it comes to the amount of damage the Spino took from the humans, I would say that the Spino took more literal, pun intended, heat from Grant and Co. than the Giga did before it ran off. So I would say that
Yeah.
judging
Yeah,
by
like
the
the
dinosaur
Spinosaurus got-
tolerances,
Yeah, the Spinosaurus took more heat, in GP3 and that wasn't. They
Oh,
weren't
hey,
even
he's in the
trying
team. Yo,
to-
he's in the comments actually.
Oh, hey, man.
Yeah, Minecraft.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
No, I mean
Hi,
Pterodon's in there.
Tuesday,
That's what
hi.
I meant.
There was
Joker.
comments on the Joker were meant to be tongue in cheek. Oh, thank God. Okay, yeah, because like the other day, like when I knew that it was like an actual line, I thought it was like for real. But okay, thanks for clarifying that it was just supposed to be like
Yeah,
ironic
that's
or a joke. Thanks.
Ultimate Visual History book. Okay, like I'd say that in that case too, I'd heard about that being tongue in cheek. That's the one thing that also sucks sometimes about interviews where you'll hear something from an interview and it doesn't get elaborated on until a book, and people kind of run with it. Like I
Yeah.
always wondered what they meant by that, but even with
Minecraft World
with a
is called
clarification, I feel
pretending.
like they should have been more clear. But no, it's fair.
Yeah.
Minecraft
But-
World just said
Thanks.
tigers hold grudges.
Yeah, I think that like a lot of
Yeah.
people underestimate that certain animals can act in ways that aren't just purely survival
Instinctive.
oriented.
So,
Yeah. Like certain animals will hold grudges. They will go after people even if there's no direct like advantage to doing so.
Ravens, wasps, dolphins,
Yeah.
orcas even. Oh, by the way, this is a fun little like fast fact. Did you know that in Spain some orcas started like destroying boats with people on
Mhm.
them?
I heard about that.
Yeah, yeah, that was like 2 years ago or so.
Yeah.
Can we continue?
Mhm.
Anyways.
Oh, one other thing I wanted to say before we continue again, because like we said, religious analogies do draw the intrigue of the religious and the spiritual minded. How many of y'all are atheists? I think that like that's true to some degree, but I also think that like there's many atheists who like make comparisons to religion without like really realizing they did. Like the whole simulation theory for many atheists is interesting, where it's like we weren't created by God. Maybe we're in the simulation of some hyper intelligence being from another dimension, and like none of this is actually real, which is just like a really sciencey way of just saying that we're made by a god.
Yeah.
We're in the Matrix.
Exactly.
And
You don't
also
have to
the
be
themes of
religious to see
creation.
religious connections.
Yeah. And the themes of creation are not specifically religious nowadays. Now that we have
Mhm.
science and we can, for example, Jurassic Park, right? Like that's one of the movies that does it the best. Like
Mhm.
so, you can clone stuff, or in Alien Covenant, yes, while they gave it this religious tone, kind of, or atmosphere, it's still like mostly based on like genetic manipulation. Supposedly, the alien was created somehow with a black goo, da da da.
Yeah.
So
Or like what's like the like ancient gods aren't really gods, they're just aliens. Hell's just another dimension. Like there's a lot of it's easy ways to ground like old religious concepts in a more rational, cynical type of lens. As well as another thing where he says, not to mention, dragons guarding treasure ain't universal. It's a Western idea. Eastern dragons are more protectors and forces of nature. It depends. Like the dragons you see in Journey to the West are more humanized and generally more benevolent, while you also have other like lesser known myths across the like the Far East in that sense, like those parts of Asia where dragons are less humanized and are more just kind of animals. Like Orochi is a really good example of a Far East dragon creature that is kind of protecting something and doesn't have a like human aspect to it and is really just a giant monster that's killed.
Continue.
yeah,
And when I say Black's in the chat too, where he says explanation is more rational. By rational, I mean to the modern person, not necessarily that theology is irrational.
Yeah.
That's a whole
Anyways.
discussion.
With the Giganotosaurus being the metaphorical or even literal dragon of the mountain sitting on top of mines of gold, so too does Lewis Dodson represent another dragon who hoards treasure. This
Now,
man
that I
has
can
wormed
agree
his
with.
way into collecting dinosaurs from around the world,
Mm.
dinosaurs which he sees as a type of treasure. We know he sees them as treasure in the way he describes the dinosaurs to Dr. Henry Wu.
Hey, if they trace the locusts back to us, they come for the dinosaurs. All your work, gone. Billions of dollars in assets, gone. Diamonds with no one
This
to
is
mine
a
them.
long clip.
The dinosaurs
I was about to say he just cut it off right there. That same thought was just in my head. I was like, "Oh, should I have paused here?" I'm so sorry, Steve.
Yeah, you probably should have. You probably should have. I mean, there is. I guess we could
seconds,
probably pause
probably.
it here for something to say. Like Dodson. Now, Dodson in this case, he kind of. I would say at least he fits more the description of a dragon than the Giga, because he does have riches that he is like aware of, and he wants to sort of keep to himself and protect ultimately.
Yeah.
From anyone who could compromise that.
This is something I was going to say earlier. Is that as much as all the visualizations of Giganotus, who for many years I used to think was called Gigantosaurus, but anyway,
Well, that's
Giganotosaurus.
actually Giganotosaurus, Giganotosaurus, and Giganotosaurus. They're all valid pronunciations, actually.
oh, okay.
Because
I remember him being
like I
discovered,
will
but
say
yeah.
it as Giganotosaurus, 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 Giganotosaurus. I've said it so many different ways over the
Gigantosaurus.
years. No,
Like,
No!
I always say
Gigantosaurus.
Giga. It sounds really good, but like, yeah, I've
Gigantosaurus.
heard people.
I've
Or
always said
Giganotosaurus.
like
Giganotosaurus, yeah!
Giganotosaurus. I know for me, Giganotosaurus. I forget.
Gigantosaurus.
Now you're all just taking a piss.
Yes.
Well, but
Like a
the thing is,
Velociraptor.
Gigantosaurus sounds kind of like the way in which Arnold Schwarzenegger will say Gigantosaurus. Like, I don't know, like it feels really, yeah, it feels weird to me.
Yeah, I forget which. It's not Eric Carr. It might be Eric Carr. It was one paleontologist in. It was the documentary that was a special feature on the Chased by Dinosaurs DVD. He says it is Giganotosaurus, and that's how I used to always say it as a kid, personally. Thank you, Terradome, for stopping by, and we will have fun. Like, I will say this:
Hello.
I don't necessarily agree with the premises that you're providing for the movie as a whole, but I think the story that like you are making connectively with certain scenes is far more interesting than the film itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, I like if you made this film, it would probably be so much better, in my opinion, than what we actually got.
And don't worry,
I want to say.
Don't worry, Terradome. Don't worry, Terradome. We'll try not to rip you to shreds there. I mean, you're not Mr. Who, that's for sure. You're
And also, like,
No
I already
one's
watched the
that.
video, and there are some things coming up that I really like too. So yeah.
Let's- Do anyone want to say anything before I keep going?
Yeah, the original point I was going to make, and then I got sidetracked by the name. As much as Giganotus is like the visually like a dragon, like with the fire in its mouth, and then fighting it with a spear, quote unquote. The visual of it sleeping, the fact that there's like amber mines and that's nearby, not necessarily. Those are like visual things that aren't really connected, and all of that lot. Giganotus is just not a character. Everyone is very much aware of how much of a not character this thing is. But this guy, Dodson, absolutely, he's sinister. He's got evil plans going. He wants to hoard things. Yeah, he is absolutely a dragon in human form.
I mean, he's really stupid, and the plot doesn't really realize how stupid he is.
But hey,
I'm ignoring that bit, but yeah.
He has sick dancing moves.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, yeah, he can dance like a dragon from Shrek. I don't know.
What's interesting, and this is purely like for me myself, and like the things I have looked at visually when it came to the Jurassic franchise. Is anyone familiar with the artist Hellraptor?
Yes.
No.
Yes, I am.
Okay,
I am.
let's go. Antonio is. So he does a bunch of like he's done a bunch of dinosaur art. If you look him up, he's a really cool artist, and he did a series which is like Jurassic Park mixed with Resident Evil. And for the longest time after looking at his stuff, when I saw Dodson back in like the first Jurassic Park, he visually reminds me a whole lot of Wesker from at least the first Resident Evil, and he kind of still does to a degree. A big problem I have with this film is they don't respect Dodson that much as a villain, and they kind of just make him slightly evil, quirky Steve Jobs. That's like, tangent aside, like I've always felt that his character was disrespected in this film compared to how he was in the first film, and then how you see him in other material.
Hey, speaking
Well,
of
I mean, just going off of the original Jurassic Park film, like he only had like 2 minutes of screen time, so there wasn't really much you could even pull from as far as characterization for him. So
in
it's
terms
like,
of the first film, just on its own, like at least from how he feels, like he's very no nonsense, basic in terms of like what he wants to provide to Nedry, and gets to the point on things.
it's kind
Like,
of
he
funny
doesn't-
how Godson in the original probably was like smarter in there when he was like he was wiser in his younger youth than he is now in this film.
as well as
the
like
thing
having
is, sometimes people who are kind of stupid are really uptight because like they're used to fucking up. So they may like it. It also could be that the guy was always like this fucking lame, and he's just like really, oh no, I'm gonna get called. Hey, don't say anything. I mean, well, you have Nedry like laughing his ass off, because it's
Yeah.
like, dude, chill. Like,
Yeah, Dodson
What-
always
what the fuck,
came
calm
off
down.
as like more reserved in the first movie. And again, the books aren't the films, but he was a lot more intelligent in the books and more conniving as well as ruthless. So like
Also-
seeing more of him, and then that like the betrayal being so different was just always threw me off.
Also, speaking of Hellraptor, he recently did his own take on the Saurus Rex in Resident Evil art style.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool.
Anyone else got anything before we keep going?
no.
There is gonna be in the recent there's gonna be a parallelism between Dodson and the Gale, so buckle up.
Dinosaurs are
Okay.
wealthy assets to Dodson for a number of reasons. Again, something he verbally describes himself.
No, we've already identified dozens of applications for paleo DNA. We're talking
Here,
about
pause it.
cancer.
Pause it for copyright. All right.
La 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 la
Okay.
la la.
I've always like, I'm sorry, if you just cut him from the movie, I think that like he just feels so superfluous, especially because like they kind of try to build him up as kind of like betraying the group, but he obviously doesn't. Like he just felt so needless to me.
Yes.
All right.
Sir, Alzheimer's, autoimmune. We will be saving lives, but
We also
I was gonna say, when he brings up Alzheimer's, did anyone else think of Deep Blue Sea?
Yes. I
It's
do.
been a year since I've watched Deep Blue Sea, so I wasn't really. So I don't know if I was able to put that together.
The only reason why I remember is because like they're talking about like essentially in the same way how they're like raising the sharks and stuff for Alzheimer's. When they bring up Alzheimer's, anytime I see anything related to like genetically engineering an animal and like Alzheimer's is brought up specifically, I just think of Deep Blue Sea.
Oh, I just realized something. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. The simian flu was, started out as
Also, yeah.
to cure Alzheimer's.
I was about to say the same thing. Imagine a shark ape. Dude, shark ape. You
That
have a
was so
sci-fi
good.
movie right there. Like, that would be fucking badass.
Shark ape.
What a weird
I know
ass
what I'm
hybrid
supposed
that
to
would
imagine
be.
from that. I know I'm supposed to imagine like some kind of like ape-like shark creature, but all I can imagine is some horrible, like deformed blob sitting on the beach. I don't know whether to be on land or sea.
Yeah.
also learn through dialogue that Dodson's company Biosyn has been collecting dinosaurs for years, with his right-hand man Ramsey admitting the first generation of dinosaurs at Biosyn were not actually their own creations, but dinosaurs.
I think that's one thing that's interesting is that they did just poach a bunch of animals from Isla Sorna. Like that, I feel like that would be such like a more interesting movie than Fallen Kingdom overall.
But
Because you-
is
in
that
the
not
same idea.
basically the Lost World?
Yeah,
Wouldn't that be too similar? Like maybe people will be like, like, oh, you did the same thing twice. Maybe that's why
I mean,
they
it's
didn't do
right
it.
off from the
But even
same
then-
island as Lost World, so
Yeah, but Fallen Kingdom
Hmm.
also just kind of like has similar stuff to the Lost World as well, because they're also taking dinosaurs off of an island, bringing them to civilization. They break free.
I guess they think that the volcano was enough of a variable, to where it's like, oh, it's not exactly like Lost World.
I guess.
Yeah, and also it doesn't last too long. Like
Mm.
like it's
No, it's
literally
like-
like
It's only like a
divided into-
third or a half of the film.
Yeah.
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 Dinosaurs taken from the island Isla Sorna, a place owned by rival company InGen.
Bison bought this land for the amber deposits back in the 90s, but we've managed to turn it into a safe haven for about 20 displaced species. The first generation came from Sorna.
Pause it.
Most of the newbar dinosaurs.
Yeah, you gotta pause it for copyright, like every couple seconds.
Yeah. Another thing too is that let's also not forget about the fact that you had InGen with Sorna. InGen just forgot about Sorna. Then you have, again, including everything that's happened in the franchise, Biosyn and Manticore, as well as probably other random poachers, all were able to get to the island and bring dinosaurs off of it.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of it almost makes you wonder, like, why didn't even bother making it restricted in the first place if people could just
Yeah.
constantly get in and off of it so easily.
Yeah, you never see any like government factions on this island. Like, making sure no one
the
does
end of
that.
Jurassic Park 3 had the Navy involved. Like, shouldn't they should just have like ships, like some government or whoever nearby should just have ships, like surrounding that island, like by any stretch.
Like, I think, like, based on the size of the island, you could have, like, a single destroyer, like, just patrolling that island, and you wouldn't have any issues. Or just, like, a monitoring station, anything. But, like, I also think that has to do with the fact that since in the first film, you don't have it, like, in the book where they napalm the island, so there never was, like, 2 islands worth of dinosaurs just sitting there. And then you have the DX virus in The Lost World, which essentially ensures that there won't be any other dinosaurs left. Like, that's one thing the films always had, like, a problem of, like, their own to fix, was that since there was no easy fix for just not having dinosaurs anymore, they were always just kind of sitting there when the plot demanded them to be there.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs are here too.
Also, later in the movie, in a scene where Dodson is doing his best to erase evidence of wrongdoing, he admits he has been collecting assets for literal decades.
Of course. Yeah.
Are you deleting research files?
Again, I feel like he is only here to, like, spout, like, exposition, because that essentially you can have this whole scene here and have the visual storytelling of Dodson deleting the files, and, like, you actually see, like, a file listed here that's deleted, or, like, important information that the audience could read, instead of him just being like, are you doing that thing?
Same. No, you don't get it. Godzilla is going into Tiamat's lair.
I mean,
I
laughed because of the reference. I'm not sure what the connection is there.
Wow.
Basically, like when they want to have someone, like basically they get a black actor and they make him say the obvious.
Wow, just remember, your visual profile is a dog. I can take you to the pound. I can remove your balls if need be. Do not test me. Do not test me, boy.
And unfortunately,
98 is the best Godzilla
I won't be
movie.
there to save you.
Oh,
I will
Zim.
I will not
Zim.
fly. I will swim across the pond. We'll have a
Zim.
reverse invasion here. Do not test me. I will make you
Zim.
another
What-
follower.
Then what would you do to
Zim.
me?
Like I said, well, actually, you don't have a dog in your profile, so I can't remove your balls. I'll find something creative. I'll think of something.
98 is
Okay,
better than
you-
all of Heisei.
Zim, did you happen to look at the timestamp I sent you on messages?
I did. Wait, just now?
No, probably last week sometime.
I did. Yes,
I'm sorry.
I know. I know. I remember.
It's gonna be
I
9
saw.
o'clock in
I
that
heard it.
place.
I heard it too, and I was like, I'm gonna let this slide. It better be a joke. If it was a mistake, it's unforgivable. So, as far as you're concerned, I'm assuming it's a joke. Otherwise, the deep offense that you've provided me with. It is a wound that will never heal.
Oh
Also,
no, is it
no,
about
no,
Mr. Who again?
It's in the
It's
Who
on
video.
Screen Rant. It's on Screen Rant.
Oh,
It's on
oh,
Wikipedia.
okay.
Yeah.
also,
All right,
Zim,
yeah,
if you
maybe you
want,
should send me that timestamp as well on DMs.
also Zim, if you're bothering to come to my place, just so you know, in my place right now, it's gonna be 9 o'clock.
Dun dun dun. Don't worry, I can blend in because of my skin. Anyways,
Anyways,
We are, yes. You and I got to protect what we built, right? You think they wouldn't love to get their hands in here, take all the resources I've spent decades
about
collecting?
there.
see,
Yeah,
you
just
know
a,
how much information
yeah.
you could have provided if you just had this scene like this right here, guys. Like,
Yeah.
outside of it just saying server room, if they like, I don't know if it's like the writers or like producers feel that you need to have a character expositing this information instead of, since it's a visual medium, just visually showing this and letting the audience fill in the gaps that way. Like this, in a way, this is similar to the scene where you have Nedry stealing the embryos and you can see every single like species that Nedry's taking, and the audience is able to fill in the implications of what he is grabbing and why it is so significant. Were Jurassic Park made now, like the same movie, you'd have another person in the same room with Nedry being like, ooh, take the T-Rex. We'll need a T-Rex. Or definitely grab the Velociraptors, or them being like, no, we can't grab the Velociraptors. They're too dangerous, or something like that. I don't
Grab a
understand. Like,
Metrocanthosaurus, because this will be the only reference to that species that you'll get in this franchise.
Exactly.
Definitely get that.
That is one animal that is, I always wonder why they included it in. I guess because it's an obscure dinosaur, but yeah, Metrocanthosaurus, an animal that's been in there for so long, but we only really see in Jurassic World Evolution.
And as far as a Hammond collection, and as a figure from the
Which I think
Hammond
is
collection.
based, isn't it? I think it is that Hammond collection figure is based on the Evolution design too, which is like, okay.
That's interesting.
With us, the audience, knowing full well his malicious actions in obtaining such assets. And let's not forget Maisie Lockwood, who could be seen as a princess this dragon has captured and is keeping in his tower. Dodson even
I'd say, like, in a way that is like, out of everything he said, that does make sense, at least, actually.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, Dodson does line up better with the Western interpretation of dragons, than the Giganotosaurus, because at least he's got treasure and he's got a hostage. So,
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's
There are
like
some issues with that, but-
narratively, you have Dodson, but for the visuals, you do have the Giga. If you just want empty visuals, you have the Giga, and you have Dodson for the narrative symbolic part. So in a way, it does kind of work as if there had been one writer in that room like that actually wanted to try, and then the other four didn't really care.
What's
He
interesting,
just
like,
played with his toys.
literally, he just wants to play with toys. I think I think this whole idea that he's providing would be interesting were this like the first movie and this idea was actually expanded upon, because I feel that like the parallelism between the Giga and Dodson could work if the Giga really was one of the only dinosaurs you actually see in the film, and you actually like ramp up these connections that are being made.
If you didn't like that, it will kind of be like, in the end, humans were the real dinosaurs.
Or like humans are the real monsters, which is like,
Get out.
maybe
Get
the
out.
dinosaurs are the friends we made along the way.
out.
Now I imagine Dodson with like the two fingers, like when a little kid is trying to pretend to be a T-Rex, just like chasing the little girl.
Oh god.
princess this dragon has captured and is keeping in his tower.
There is a slight
Dodson
problem
even
with
describes
this
Maisie as the most valuable
analogy,
treasure
though.
in this scene.
Oh,
She's
Well,
the most
what
valuable
is it?
intellectual property on the planet.
A hoarder of
Oh.
treasure indeed. Dodson is a serpent
Pause.
character. Snake
please. Thank you. Yeah. So this is the point that I was thinking of when he said, "Oh, keeping the girl up." It's like she doubles up as treasure as well because he says she's the most valuable asset on the planet, or whatever he's just said.
Intellectual property.
But then intellectual property, thank you. But then the plot kind of cocks that over by having him stop the train in the amber mines where she could be eaten by dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't think technically the creatures in the tunnels are dinosaurs. I think they're
Yeah,
technically just
The
lizards. Anyway,
Dimetrodons aren't. The
Synapsids.
Dimetrodons aren't technically dinosaurs, but
No, they're
you
not.
know,
They're not even technically. They're just synapsids.
all right.
yeah,
Yeah.
sending the most valuable intellectual property on the earth to be eaten alive.
Full
It's a bit of a
transparency.
contradiction.
I'm trying to remember whether him deleting the server files, if that scene was before or after he traps them down there. Because if them being trapped is after he's deleting server files, then it does make sense that he's just trying to destroy all evidence in that case. And if the
I'm
girl's
trying to-
dead,
I think it's after.
This is way before, yeah.
But if it's
deletes files afterwards, I think.
okay, then if it's afterwards, it does hurt it. But if it was before, it would make more sense because then he'd be desperate and just getting rid of the asset would make more sense. So
It's just that's just kind of weird that he so you went through all he's still screwed anyways because one of the people that he was working with, Santos, who works in the black market, she's arrested by the CIA and they could easily link her back to him. So it's all so he's fucked no matter how much evidence he tries to destroy. And in fact, him trying to destroy the evidence would just make him look even worse because so you've just committed a whole bunch of bad, naughty things and you're trying to cover it up. You silly Richard Parker man.
Richard Parker man. So with the Hexapod Allies research, do you think this has to do with Spider-Man? Or as the Japanese say, the emissary from hell, Spider-Man.
Like in his behavior, seen all the way back in the first Jurassic Park when he hires Nedry to sabotage the original park in order to steal embryos for his own company. Speaking of Nedry, the costume design of the characters in the Jurassic series are visual cues to character intent and the overall narratives at play, such as John Hammond being dressed in all white to make him seem godlike, a life-giving creator to the dinosaurs, and Ian Malcolm being his opposite, being
I
dressed
thought it was
all
more innocence myself, but never mind.
I
thought it was more
let me
like a
refresh myself. I'll be back.
naivety, innocence.
Yeah, well, I think godlike, innocent. I think both I think wasn't the intention that he's supposed to have that godlike, they're supposed to view him as like a god in that sense, like that was the intention behind it. I'm not sure, but like innocent or godlike, both those make sense.
Yeah, I suppose godlike makes more sense from like a narrative perspective, like he's creating life and governing it, and basically creating his Jurassic Park is the Garden of Eden, and the dinosaurs are everybody's playing nice, guys, because dinosaur all meat eaters of the world were originally plant eaters until the Garden of Eden was shut down. But yeah, I can understand that one. But for me, whenever I watched it, I always just imagined the bright white and his childlike glee over the dance. Oh god, they're so amazing! Oh, look how great they are! Look all the things we're doing. He's felt very naive. So it spoke more when everything went wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you say that someone was echoing here, or
no?
No? Okay. Reading to Saibu, chat here, just saying, Dodson didn't kidnap Maisie. Wu did by hiring kidnappers for hire, which he didn't have to do. He could have just knocked on Maisie's door and invited her to the Great Valley, since he has information about her mother, which she wants to know. There was no need for this kidnapping plot because that makes any good intentions of his come across as villainous. Well, here's the thing. Dodson still gave it Dodson is still responsible because he gave it the okay to, even if Wu was the one who suggested to bring Maisie over, Dodson still facilitated it because he's the guy with the money.
Well, I think another thing
Wu say that they need to bring the girl. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like Dodson is the one that decided to take this way of action. Maybe Wu was thinking, hey, can you call the girl to come here? And Dodson was like, yeah, sure, kidnap her. I
think another thing too is that had I think he would have saved more money if he just flown out Wu. Wu talks to Maisie, and then Maisie just sneaks out, and then Wu takes her to the facility instead of the whole kidnapping thing. But then they also grab Beta too. That's the other thing. So
yeah,
we have to
yeah,
account for
probably
that.
was like a 2 per
Yes.
1, two
Yeah.
per 1. Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
in that case, they probably just needed to kidnap Maisie because there was no easier way to get Beta. So I think that's probably the only reason. I think that's like a case where you have to wonder, how do you mechanically allow both of those things to take place? Because you have to hire someone to grab Beta without it being drawn back to Biosyn. But if Maisie just like up and leaves after like Wu comes and sees her, and like Owen or Claire see that, then they draw that connection quicker. So then you lose a lot of like that middle part of the story, which then in that case, it's like you're at a crossroads with your story. You have to like seriously reconsider like the ideas that you're proposing here if you're coming to that, you're at that crossroad.
Yeah. Yes, Vic.
I mean, having
Dodson
those-
is the one that calls the kidnappers. You know, he calls Santos and the other people in the, doing the shady stuff, bringing Maisie to him. He's the one that has the direct line to them. Wu is just the guy who's saying like, "Hey, we need Maisie and Beta." Dodson is just the guy. Is his boss, and he's the guy to be like, "All right, I'll get them to you." Don't worry. I'm not gonna do anything shady. Here, do the shady thing.
The thing I've just thought of now, and would have been an interesting, again, it would be more intrigue and blah 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 in the film, which I think the film is kind of allergic to, if I'm being honest. Imagine if Dodson had just went to the hut and it's just like, "Hi, we'd like to take Maisie home with us," and they had a chat about it, and then they asked Maisie, and then they can't remember the characters' names now, but the parents went, "No, well, she's not going," and then again, the classic. They go to bed, Maisie. Okay, she goes to bed. They go to check on her, and oh no, the window's open. Oh no, she's run away. And then Dodgson's waiting at the bridge, and she runs up. He's like, "No, you'd come. Let's get out of here." And then after they've gone, then Blue is kidnapped, and then they make the connection. But then maybe Dodgson's like, "Yeah, we've got Daisy. What do you mean the raptor? I don't have a raptor. I don't know what you're talking about. Get rid of the raptor quick." Again, it's a slightly more complicated, it's a bit more of a storyline, but it doesn't have as much action and oh my god, terror in it. So yeah.
Kasabu mentions, I hate to rag on contrivances, but isn't it astronomically lucky Maisie and Beta were in close proximity to each other? Well, since Maisie, Owen, and Claire posted up somewhere far away where Blue was, I think that's why they were in that area, if I recall. Like they wanted to bug out, but they bugged out somewhere where Blue was. And since Blue was not taking care of Beta, Blue was more essentially like had staked out an area that she was living in. So that's what made it easy for them. But another thing to consider as well is that since Owen and Claire were on the run and Claire was also like doing all that illegal stuff too, if anything, they pretty much kidnapped Maisie too, for one thing. They also trespassed at the Lockwood estate. So if anything, they could just take Maisie, or Maisie just leaves her own volition. And if like they try to go after them, they could be like, well, there's all of this like stuff that you guys did that's just illegal. If you want to come after us, we can like drown you in all of this like paperwork as well as like actual action.
I just thought of something just completely destroy the film. Think how the film starts with Claire and Owen are off doing their own things. Like they aren't at home. So no one's looking after Maisie. Maisie's just doing her own thing, and Maisie has just buggered off into civilization. So she could have been picked up at literally any time. Apparently, quite often when both Claire and Owen just aren't there. So they both of them could have come home one day and go, "Where the hell's Maisie? Did anyone see Maisie? Maybe I should go to. Has anyone seen Maisie?" And it would have taken them bloody ages to find out what happened to her.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
it's like they kidnapped her and Blue at the most inconvenient possible time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what?
Which
Like
is
they
made
could
worse
have
by the
said
fact that they
Blue ate
were
her.
staking them out.
Mhm.
They could have easily faked it so it looked like Blue ate the girl. Just grab her clothes, some blood, throw it somewhere that the Velociraptor is at, and boom, like Blue killed the girl. They will never know, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. As well as that, if anything, like if they also take Beta and then Blue's acting aggressive, they find bloody like Maisie's bloody clothes, then they could have some tension between Owen and Blue. Like you could write something there. And like they could also just get the DNA tested as well and be like, oh wow, it's fake blood, and then that starts the story as well. Like there's some other things you can do as well.
Yeah.
But
Anyways.
let's keep going,
Hey.
guys.
Guys,
Let's stop
Blank.
making this film worse than it already is.
You gonna say something, Antonio?
um, unfortunately I'm going to go a little sooner. Okay.
That's fine, man.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anything you
But-
want to say before you bounce out?
Yeah. If I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of happy to talk to you guys. Like, honestly, after I dropped out of college, I felt a sense of shame. I felt it was all for nothing. I felt was it all worth it? And to speak to you guys, it warms my heart because honestly, genuinely speaking to you guys is always probably one of the few times in my life that I genuinely am talking to people who are interested in stuff I'm into. So I'm really glad you guys are here with me.
Of course, ma'am.
No problem.
Thanks.
Hey,
But this might be a dumb thing, but I know you guys will probably never will do it, but it's okay if we can do like for the next live stream that we are going to review Rampage.
I
just
love
have-
Rampage.
I have to figure
the
out.
Rock film.
Yeah, the Rock film. Yeah, I have to figure out time for me to give that movie a rewatch, and then figure out timing for all that. So
Yeah. What's the call? We can try to work something out.
And also, Zim, if you're going to do a next live stream, make sure it's in the right place where I can come in, okay?
Yep, I'll definitely try to do that. I know I'm gonna do one live stream that's gonna be more in the afternoon for myself on Sunday, before I leave for G Fest. So I'll hopefully you'll probably be able to join for that. I haven't posted it yet though.
Yeah, also, if you meet Matt Frank in the G-Fest, can you say hi to me? Because me and Vic were talking to about how Vic has talked to him, and he said that he's a fan of his stuff. And if you see Matt, tell him that I said hi.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay. Well, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. And CNMS, if you're wondering, I am still in the process of making your thumbnail. So, do you have anything to say about it?
No, I look forward to seeing it.
I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful day or night, and farewell.
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 And also,
Alright.
next week, the anime that I am so hyped for is finally coming out. So, if I know you guys aren't a fan of it, but god damn it, I'm a fan of it. So, to
Well, now you've got the time to watch it.
Yeah, there you
Yep.
go, man. You got some time.
Yep.
Which
Yeah,
one is it?
Got Yakuta.
Yeah, you said it last stream. Sorry, I forgot. Nice.
Yeah, it's the manga that I have been reading since 2022, the exact same time I finished my high school. So I know you guys aren't interested in that type of manga, but trust me, if you read, you'll probably will really enjoy it, especially you, CNMS.
Yeah, no, if I've got time, I'll definitely try to give it a watch as well, man.
Yeah, I
Okay.
have it saved. The manga that you sent the link for the other day. I still have it like right here.
If you're wondering, the character that I have as my avatar, you can see he's like the main antagonist of the manga. So yeah.
Oh, cool.
And CNMS, are you interested in reading that manga?
I'm not big. I don't read manga much or at all. So Unfortunately, no. But yeah, you enjoy it, mate.
Okay, farewell, guys.
Yeah,
Peace.
take care.
All right, and then there were 4.
There were 4.
Warning John what he is doing is bringing chaos into the world. These kinds of visual cues deepen the storytelling, and Jurassic World Dominion is no different in this regard, especially when it comes to the character of Ramsey Cole.
Ramsey Cole, Ramsey Snow. I just don't like Ramses, I guess.
Dodson's
Ramsey
right-hand
Bolton.
man, who is secretly working with
No, it is Ramsey Snow. I will not hear any decrees made by the false king, Joffrey Lannister. Thank you very much. The North remembers.
Malcolm to get a locust DNA sample out of Biosin Sanctuary in order to blow the whistle on Dodson being behind a plague of genetically engineered hybrid locusts which are threatening the entire world's food supply. To represent this visually, his clothing links back to Nedry's costume in Jurassic Park.
By the way, this I really like because I hadn't noticed. And the thing is, even if you think the shirt is not the same, I do feel like probably there was someone in costume design that did try to get this one to be similar, at
I could
least,
see
you know.
that. No, I could definitely see
Yeah.
this. But
Yeah, me
another
too.
problem too is that the first film has such a smaller cast of characters that you're focusing on, whereas in this
Yeah.
film you have Ramsey, Alan, Elsie.
You have
not
two
Elsie,
different
Ellie.
groups of characters, actually,
Yeah,
in completely
Owen,
different
Claire,
situations.
Malcolm, Dotson. There's so many more characters that you follow, and Ramsey just doesn't stand out. Whereas with Nedry
Yeah.
stands out because even though
He's the
Dotson
fat one.
understands him, he's the fat one, but he also he has a lot of scenes to himself, and he has a lot of interactions with the characters that are more that are deeper than what we see with Ramsey.
And
Like
also,
Ramsey just
he's
feels
a
like
contrast from the others. You know, like
Mhm.
he's different. Like he has this weird sense of humor. It's not the same as what was his name, Ian Malcolm. Like it's
Mhm.
not the same. Like they're both humorous, but in different ways.
Yeah. He's got he has a strong opening as well. What did you the
Yeah.
first scene with him? He's like laughing his head off. He's shouting, and it's you really get a sense from him. What's this guy on the right called?
Yeah,
Ramsey?
exactly.
Ramsey just kind of
Yeah.
walks in, just being like, "Yo, I'm
just
hey,
appears.
I'm Ramsey. How you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
Both Nedry and Ramsey are dealing in corporate espionage, and they both wear similar looking shirts when doing so. However, in Jurassic World Dominion, there's a bit more to it. Before it's revealed that Ramsey is the whistleblower who is working with Malcolm, we see he wears a dark blue jacket over his, let's call it the espionage shirt. The colour of this jacket matches the colour of Dodson's shirt, which Dodson wears underneath a grey jacket. Note in this scene, both Dodson and Ramsey are...
a bit of a long... a bit of a long clip.
Yeah.
The comparison stuff here is getting a bit much.
I mean,
yeah.
I can kind of see it. I see where he's going with it. And I don't entirely disagree with it, but it is kind of like, all right.
I know that in this scene he's standing here going, "Oh, the Ramsey here, he's like me. He's like younger and taller and yeah,
more handsome."
And obviously, you meant there's a bit you're meant to be a little bit of a joke. Is like say black.
He's black.
Say black.
Yeah,
How
exactly.
dare you?
Exactly.
Black.
Exactly. Even the hair color is completely opposite.
Here's Ramsey. He's taller, handsome, and he's the black one
with black hair, and the other guy is the white one with white hair.
The other guy's Peter Parker's. One of them is Peter Parker's dad, and the other is a guy named Ramsey.
Peter Parker's dad and Jurassic
and Miles
World's
Morales.
Miles Morales.
Yeah, exactly.
Here at BioSid, we make sure that our diversity hires are treated well. Just like this one right here, and this one.
No, we are not racist. My best assistant is black.
Jesus Christ, no.
concealing information from one another, and that is visually represented in the colors of their costumes. Dodson's neutral grey jacket conceals his true identity and motives from everyone. A plain, boring top concealing a
Wow,
dark
this is a long clip.
I know. Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing is that, like, you'll watch these clips, like, you're reacting to them, but a person made this video, they didn't get copyright struck, but you'll react to it and you'll get copyright struck.
Oh, God, don't jinx it.
I'm
Knock
not
on wood.
jinxing it.
Unfortunately, Zim, like a lot of things in life, it's all about the length.
I mean, then I
So
guess
the
I have
length-
nothing to worry about then.
The longer it is, the more problems you have.
But look at it this way. Well, we here at Zimcast, Sea Monsters, maybe not Kaiju Not, because his streams are pretty small. But here at Sea Monsters and here at the Zimcast, we have both the length and the girth of our discussions.
Yes.
But yeah, in terms of like actual like issues, you can have to go use my fractured diamond video. There's a 20-minute video that I have. It was uploaded absolutely fine, no worries, no issues. I installed that exact video into the 3-hour video and it got struck. Purely because of the length of the video as a whole. The length of the clips hasn't changed, nothing. It's just, oh, this video is very long. Oh, it has some clips of our stuff in it. Must be the whole film.
Yeah, you heard what we said, Vic.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Vic. It's just a little bit on the small side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, they're good for some things.
People who say that know there's a small, simple as.
blue
That's what
shirt
she
which
said.
represents his true identity. Ramsey wears the same dark color blue on the outside on his jacket to visually show his link to Dodson and the fact that he's aware of Dodson's darker side, which, as mentioned, Dodson tries to hide. But he too is hiding his true motives underneath this jacket with his espionage shirt, which matches Nedry's. Then, once it's revealed in the film that Ramsey is the catalyst for the entire espionage plot to bring down Biosyn, his dark blue jacket has been shed and he wears his betrayal openly. Complete.
What's interesting is that Ian's, actually speaking of costumes, Ian's design is essentially the same as it was from the first film, but
Yeah.
Alan and, I was about to call it Elsie again, Ellie's designs are different, which it would have been cool if they at least not, even if they weren't the same clothes, since Ian's I think are different too. At least if they visually, like color wise, had the same designs, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Completely removing his loyalty to Biosyn and Dodson. So with Ramsey wearing colours to signify his loyalty to Dodson on the outside, but concealing his true motives on the inside, and the fact the colours of his true...
Anyone else notice that we've just seen this clip 3 times? Nothing against Pterodome for using it 3 times, but now I'm just like, I'm now hyper aware of the fact that I want to keep pausing so nothing bad happens.
Yeah.
To be fair, reusing the same clip again isn't an issue. It just
It's always
recognizes
linked.
what the clip is.
Yeah.
But he could have done this literally this screenshot right here. He could have just used this.
Yeah,
and
but I
saved
think
us
it's
a lot
also
of
like,
trouble.
it's like the attention thing where it's like,
Yeah,
You wanna
if you
make
put
sure.
one still image, people like,
turn off.
Mine-
Yeah.
TikTok
Yeah,
ruins.
that's why they move these. They move
all
still
of it.
images around it.
Mhm, that's
yeah.
true.
true intentions
This is,
closely
I
match
think,
those...
this is a bit of a push.
Yeah.
Just the comparison between the two of them, because
I
it,
do
it
want
doesn't-
to.
it doesn't jump out.
Yeah, I do want to say one thing. In movies, like the writer might not think about it, the director might not think about it, but the thing is, these people might have to take a look at the bigger picture. But suddenly, when you have the people from costuming, like the ones that give you the clothes, like I don't know what the word is for English, costume design. I think
costume
it is.
designer.
When you have the costume designer and they only have to focus on the one specific thing, which is their job, it's actually way more common that they will overthink these kind of things, because like it's the only thing they focus on. Like the writer might not think about it because they're thinking about time screen for the dinosaurs, pacing, character, dialogue, da da da. But since this is the only job for a costume designer, it's actually normal that they might do stuff like this. And yeah, like if you take it into account with everything else in the movie, like the bad execution of things, the themes, the characters, the writing, literally fucking everything, you might be like easily inclined to believe that like this is a reach. But if you maybe spoke to the customer designer or to the costume designer, yeah, maybe like they were like planning all of this from the very beginning. Like, oh, this character is kind of like Nedry, so we're going to give him a similar shirt. We're going to invert the lighter and darker colors, because it's like the one thing that they're going to do for the entire production. Like trying to express the characters through the clothes. So it's not impossible, but you're right to think that it can be a stretch because like it's this movie, right? Like who gave a shit about this movie?
I
Again,
think,
it's
like,
not impossible that the
I
customer
think
designer
maybe
did.
the people working on it, probably some of them did care about it, and I also think that you're right too, and believing that maybe the costume designers thought of it, and maybe the writers thought about it too. Like maybe the writers came
Yeah,
down to all the costume designers, like, hey, we came up with this idea. What do you think? It kind of expands on your themes. I also think too, in like certain cases, the like sometimes the blue wall is just a blue wall, but
yeah,
like I think that if we were to grant this, the case that this is true, this was the intention, or that it is a interesting similarity between these two characters, I just don't think Ramsey is strong enough of a character where the film does enough to make the comparison that meaningful.
yeah. The same thing that happens with
Yeah,
the Giga, actually. Same thing with the Giga happens with Ramsey, which is like you have the superficial stuff, but like the character is completely empty. Yeah.
that is surprisingly accurate. It's like all the visuals of the Giganotus and the fire and the spear and the blah, blah. It's like, okay, so what is all this applied to? Is that, a cardboard cutout of a creature? So okay, now you've got all these colors and clothes and patterns and all this. What's it applied to? Some guy who doesn't really need to be in the film.
Yeah.
Also, hi Gojin.
Hey,
Uh,
Gojin.
Joey's down there.
Yeah, he's in the chat.
Yeah, I'm just what's it called? One thing that's good is that when he can now that I'm using Chrome for this, I can switch over without it like going on to the back of the StreamYard.
Yeah.
Hey, Joey.
Scene with Nedry, we get a real sense that the story around Dodson's undoing is focused around what goes around comes around, a circular closing of a loop. The story of Dodson's downfall coming full circle from his actions in Jurassic Park and what Nedry did to try and achieve Dodson's goals is no more obvious than the scene where Dodson dies. Whilst
Yeah.
trying to escape Biosin Valley, he boards a Hyperloop train to try and get to the airfield to make his escape.
I would say like I agree with this. I don't think there's anything particularly like crazy with the analysis here so far. I think that definitely the point of Johnson's death was to have him die the same way Nedry did, essentially.
Yeah.
Yes, and here's where you start seeing that definitely there was some thought into some of the things that happen. It's just that they're completely irrelevant. Like this,
Yeah.
the story sucks, but the small details, like
Yeah.
the small details are maybe a little bit overthought, but like the overall big picture still is trash. But yeah, this is why I do believe that some of the things that he mentions could be someone's
Someone's intention.
what's exactly intention. I don't know if it was the majority of the people who were writing the movie or making it, but I think that someone had some of these thoughts when they were trying to, like make the story or the costume
Yeah.
design, all of that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it's all just a matter of like the execution of the story as a whole, really, because like visual narrative can definitely can add to it somewhat, but only in the sense of like like if the story is already working well, but when you have like some visuals to like really like reinforce it without hitting it over the head too much, because like you have like Nosferatu 2024 as an example, and I keep using that as an example of really good storytelling, but like we have like this movie about Orlok, who's like essentially like this harbinger of death and evil and what have you. And you have like the scene where his shadow is like just kind of like looming over Whisper, reaching over to Ellen, where he's like it pretty much adds to like that's a bit of visual narrative, like how he's like the shadow of death, or or just evil and all that, and all sorts of not so niceness and nasty stuff, just coming after this one woman. It really reinforces like the already strong, potent narrative, going on in that film. Whereas in Jurassic World Dominion, it's like some of these little deep, subtle visual stuff, like the clothing or what have you that Ramsey is wearing, similar to how Nedry does. Is like it's a nice little garnish to a script that really just like it ultimately like it's like trying to put salt on a turd, really, where it's just like, I mean, sure, there's some flavor to it now, but it's still shit.
Maybe I can taste the corn cob finally.
Yeah,
but
I mean, true.
Like I said it earlier in the stream, and I'll say it again. The story that he is creating, and not like that he's creating it maliciously, but like the connections that he's building off. Had I not watched the film, and the only context I had for it was what he is showing me, I would say this film is really interesting. But again, the connective tissue around these scenes just doesn't make it work.
Yeah, the connective tissue, whether the intention of the visual narrative is like all there, and and actually whether or not Trevorrow or whoever was like, yes, we absolutely intended for for the visual narrative in Dominion to be exactly as you interpreted here. Like even that's the case, like how these things come about, how the plot is structured, and everything, it kind of eclipses like whatever sort of like symbology you're trying to go for here, what they were trying to go for.
Exactly.
However, after the heroes of the story reroute the power to aid in their own escape, the Hyperloop train shuts down and Dodson is trapped defenseless and eaten by 3 Dilophosaurus, the same dinosaurs which incidentally ate Nedry as he tried to escape Jurassic Park. Whilst very much on the nose, this does fit with the themes of karma that surround Dodson and Biosyn's story in Dominion. It's a very circular story, and the visual motifs of circles permeate Biosyn Sanctuary. Most obvious is the logo for the company itself, which has circles within circles and circles coming off circles, and Biosyn's headquarters being this huge circular structure inspired by Apple's real-life headquarters.
In that case, do you think it could just have to do with the fact that maybe be a coincidence in this case, because they wanted to base Dodson off of this guy here? They wanted to base off Apple. Biosyn already had a logo, I think, to begin with, so the idea, the circular theme just sort of works because there was already stuff in place for it, rather than actually being purposely built with this in mind.
Potentially one might have led to the other.
Yeah. The question then becomes like where,
like
what leads to what?
Yeah, so they've got a big circle thing, and then you've got the Hyperloop, and then you've got the DNA strands and whatnot, like atoms, and looking at the circles and whatnot. So I'm like, oh, this could be worked into something, which that is a way of doing things. It's not like me saying, no, that's rubbish. That can work.
Yeah.
But whether it actually applies here or not is another question.
Exactly.
I was going to say, I did like the fact that Dodgson is essentially murdered because they turned off the power to restart and get things kicked off again, which is what happens in the
Jurassic Park,
film.
the first one.
Yeah, it's like they have to shut down and restart to get things going again. That's essentially how they fixed the problem in the first film. That's how they fixed the problem in this film, while simultaneously cocking him over with it.
So there's actually way more ironic parallels than just the Dilophosaurus. So yeah, like I do think that there's a lot more thought put into some of these scenes than I initially noticed.
Yeah. Well, because Saibu also said the Hyperloop being a reference to Elon Musk's Hyperloop, possibly.
So
Yeah,
okay,
that is
so compare.
undeniable.
Yes. Yeah. So just a random question: what would you say has like better writing in this case? For like a movie that's like in two different for each from a different franchise, this film or GXK?
I haven't watched. I'm
Minion.
going to be honest. I haven't watched this film in a while, but I would say
Dominion has terrible writing, and as much as you've got all these comparisons and the thematics and the circles and all that lot, it is not a well-made film. It is miles better than GXK though.
Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree. Dominion is better written, relatively speaking.
yeah,
than GXK.
even like my gut, my first instinct is to say GXK is better written only because it's a Godzilla movie, to be honest. But I think also like even though I haven't seen Dominion a bit, I'm like leaning towards Dominion as well. I think is probably better written. I will say I definitely prefer Dominion's visuals and its creature designs way more than GXK. Like that's one thing I will definitively say with like from my chest.
I'm surprised. I'm going to say this actually about GXK because you know what, like GXK, yeah, it has plot holes from the first movie that it has to carry, but I feel like everything that we discussed about Jurassic World, the JW trilogy, you know, like I just feel like this one being the third one carries so many plot holes from the previous two. And I feel that even if GXK does very, and I mean very, like incredibly simplistic stuff, right? It's still, I still feel like it manages to do some things better. I will say at least Dominion has a good villain, or a villain that works a little bit better here with Dodson.
Mm-hmm.
Because Car King, but
I mean,
you know what? At
Dodson's
least
an idiot, but at least Dodson's an idiot, but at least he's not. But he's arguably less of an idiot.
Yeah, and the thing is, Dodson still works for what he's trying to do, which is, the typical rich guy that actually doesn't really understand anything at all of what he has. Like what they're trying to do, even if it's like a stupid caricature, it's still well, it depicts what they're trying to do with him. Even if it doesn't
yeah, Dodson's a better caricature of a rich billionaire than Scar
Exactly.
King is of being a dictator.
Yes.
Because both of them are caricatures. I just think Dodson's is characterized better. And
Exactly.
yes, Vic, Joker Giga is better than Scar King. The Giga design, minus what like the fact it's supposed to be an accurate Giganotosaurus, visually it is just more pleasing to the eye than
Scar King,
than Shimo, than any of the Hollow Earth creatures we see. Than
the Giganotosaurus. The Giganotosaurus, as far as characterization goes, like
I'm not even talking about character. I just mean visually.
No, I mean, no, I'll even just I mean, obviously I agree visually, but I'd say even characterization wise, like the Giganotosaurus is like the fact that it's just kind of an animal and nothing more than like an obstacle, like. That, like, I mean, it's kind of a sense of like, hey, you can't lose the game if you don't play at all, I guess. Where Scar King, it's like he fails miserably at the villain.
However, that's the thing, because the Giga has its moments because of the terrible editing, which we actually discussed last time, where he suddenly goes from being an animal to being like, okay, no, actually, in this shot, I'm going to be bad. And then he goes back to being a normal animal. So he's still inconsistent. And that's the thing, like you have two non-villains, right? You have Scar King, which he's so fucking incompetent that he doesn't feel like a threat. And then you have the Giga, which is a threat, but it's not a villain, so it's still a non-villain to me. And they are both really bad, but you know what? At least if I turn my brain off, I can enjoy GXK more than Dominion. Because, first of all, Godzilla with the pink spines, I like it. Second of all, the zero gravity fight, I still like it, and that's it, right? Like that's literally it. But it's more than I can enjoy here.
Okay. I can agree with that. Also, see, I'm gonna be bouncing in a couple minutes. I'm gonna probably get us to a few more minutes before we end off. So I assume
Okay.
Animus will have to take over for the duties of screen sharing.
Okay. Yeah, just kind of let us know what the timestamp will be.
Well, no, you'll see it on screen. Or Animus, you can see it on screen, right?
It's very small. What is it? 8 minutes?
At moment we're at 8:17, but I'm gonna go for a few more minutes. I want to get us to like either 9 or 10 minutes in, so then you don't have too much left you need to worry about.
All right.
Cool.
So let's keep going.
Anyway, as I was saying, circles are seen everywhere at this location. Whether it's the outposts which are dotted around the valley, to lights in the main plaza, to decorative images on the walls, and even a hyperloop system used by Biosyn staff to navigate their sanctuary. Circles are everywhere. I'm not sure whether this was intentional in its link to the narrative of what goes around comes around, but it is extremely fitting. Other circular narratives surrounding Dodson's downfall can be seen by what leads to his death. So he burns the locusts to try and erase his mistake, but in turn the burning locusts escape, causing an evacuation of the valley. This forces Dodson into the hyper.
And yeah, this is where, if there is a focus on circular reasoning in terms of he wanted to destroy the locusts, but then the locusts destroyed his place. You're like, okay, how are we going to achieve that, team? They get set on fire and then fly out the building. So, okay, anyone have any better ideas?
I think that's
No?
also just like a cause and like that feels like just an example of cause and effect. I will say like the fact you see so many circles visually in the Biosyn like valley, I think makes more sense. All these squares make a circle. All these squares make a circle.
Square, all the squares make a circle.
See, monster,
I'll
you
make
can
a
tell me.
circle.
I can
All the
leave the
squares make a
lookout
circle.
whenever I want to, right?
But you know what? Like, it's actually still fitting because the fact that he made the locusts so resilient is what makes them so resistant to the fire. I mean, it still doesn't make sense, but
Yeah,
you know,
and-
it's
and not to
technically
mention-
justified.
And not to mention, like the fact that the locusts very easily were able to just fly through those vents like the way they did. It's like you
It's very
seriously
convenient.
telling me that this crazy, super like highly advanced, like multi-billion-dollar company couldn't afford like a better system to keep the locusts from fucking escaping, especially when they're on fire.
I guess in this case, the one defense I could make is that consistently
No.
throughout the Jurassic, again, being most charitable, you consistently see that the precautions that these companies put in place to contain the animals is almost always flawed. And the only time we ever see them successful is in Jurassic World, because you see the Rex breaks through the electrified fences. There wasn't any other precautions put in place if the electrified fences were down. And you don't really see anything like that's like containing the animals in Lost World, except for like maybe the tranquilizer. But in that case, it also backfires because it puts the animal into the hyper aware state. And then in Jurassic Park 3, you have that fence that the Spino just breaks through.
Yeah,
In
well, that's
World-
because there's no power to it. at
Yeah,
that point.
no, but even in that case, I would say like that fence is actually more built up than the Nublar fences, because in the Nublar fences, it's just the electrifying fence, whereas
Yeah, as a
in-
physical barrier,
Yeah.
it's still not enough.
It's I'd say it's a little bit better, but then in like Jurassic World, the first one, you see the actual park working, and that's the only time you ever see it. Like the animals actually being contained successfully. The only time it isn't is because they didn't know it was in the Indominus. But I'm gonna stop it there for myself, so I'll stop my screen share there. I put in the private chat for you, Animus, what the timestamp we stopped on was, so that's gonna be easy for you guys.
Oh yeah, cool.
Oh, what's it called? And Pterodum's back. I'm heading out, but so far, like, I don't agree with everything that you've said in the video, but I'll say it again. Like, the narrative and like the connections that you're building, had I not seen the film, would make the film way more interesting than it actually is. But thank you guys. Thank you, C, for having me on. Laos, Animus, always good to have you guys on and talk to y'all. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna head out. Peace, guys.
Yeah, go
I'm gonna say
check
hi
out
to
Zim's
Minecraft
channel.
World.
Subscribe to it if you haven't already.
And anyone who is seeing me here, because I'm gonna post this in a few places, just remember, poo! All right, peace, guys.
Peace.
Bye,
Take care,
Sim.
man. All right. So I guess just we're gonna pull up your screen
World
share,
Dominion, there is a
Cinemas.
moment where the character
There we go. Right. Can we find out S8? But yeah, what's his name? Terradoom?
Who?
Who made this video?
And the channel.
Terradome 3000.
Terradome, yeah. I don't know if you were here for the bit where I was saying, I think you point out all the circles and whatnot, which was kind of funny because literally like, we paused seconds before then, and I said, "Oh, yeah, the hyper loop, yeah, that kind of works in," and then we played it, and the hyper loop.
Oh.
But
Yeah. Oh.
the idea of like the loops and the circles and all that, there seem to be like a definite visual connection once you start pointing them out, especially with this building in the background of this shot as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea of they use the circular reasoning to then inform the plot, but then they have to force that in with the whole like locusts. He tries to destroy the locusts, and the locusts destroy him, but it's in the most brain dead possible way.
Yeah, you're gonna be bringing on. We got the Hakoje Muto.
Yo.
Yay.
Oh, by the way, like, I don't know if we need to say it, but if the guy wants to like come in, right? Like he can just like come and have a little talk. Like
oh yeah,
there is
absolutely.
like a Discord link. Maybe you should share it so in case he wants to come here, he knows how to.
You mean a streamer link?
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just in case,
he
because
wants to,
I know that he's here. He's been here for a little bit, so in case he's like consistently watching, like you can come talk to us. Like, by the way.
Yeah, we wouldn't mind having you on for a bit. All right. So what was the timestamp that he stopped at last before he left?
It was F9. We are currently
9:01 seconds. Yeah.
Was it 9? I thought Zim said like 8 something.
Private chat says 9.
9? Okay.
locusts escape, causing an evacuation of the valley. This forces Dodson into the Hyperloop system to make his escape, which is where he'll meet his end. Not only that, but the burning locusts are what caused Malcolm and Co to lose control of the Jeep, leading to the vehicle rolling down a hill where they meet up with Owen, Claire and Kayla.
Which is some bullshit.
Yeah.
It's pretty contrived.
Very contrived. Especially then. It's the fact that they follow. It's like Owen follows Claire. Somehow follows Claire. I'm guessing expert tracker nonsense. Then the road that they escape the mine from happens to go past this, and they happen to go off the road next to it as well. And then after happening to bump into him, literally seconds after bumping into him, if I remember right, the Giganotus turns up. It's like it's a conflagration of coincidence.
Yeah. Yes, sorry, can't join. Unfortunately, I finished work.
This group traveled
journey home.
to the control room, where they learn they need to reroute the power to turn the aerial deterrent system back on to stop the pterosaurs from attacking them when flying out of the valley. The same aerial deterrent system which was turned off by Dodson when he tried to kill Owen, Claire and Kayla when they were flying in to rescue Maisie. So, by our group of heroes turning that system back on when rerouting the power, the Hyperloop shuts down, leaving Dodson at the mercy of the Dilophosauruses.
Which, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, it's quite a nice callback to Jurassic Park when they had to turn the everything off and back on again to get all the park working again. So, yeah, this is quite nice. And also, I didn't realise that, he turned it off, so they have to turn it back on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Karma in motion.
That bit's still silly though.
When it comes to the death of the Giganotosaurus, the circular narrative is most definitely at play. However, this is only relevant to the extended cut of the film, which frankly is the true version of the movie, as director and writer Colin Trevorrow explained on Twitter. In the opening, we see the Giganotosaurus woken up by the arrival.
Oh, I've not seen this.
You haven't?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
No.
told you about it. This is the prologue that made the T-Rex fans cry. So they took it out.
Oh, it was
out of the
in the past type thing. They sent the
Yeah.
cameraman back into the past to film this bit.
on
Yeah.
Twitter. In the opening, we see the Giganotosaurus woken up by the arrival of a Tyrannosaurus. The two do battle, resulting in the Giganotosaurus killing
yeah,
the
he's a bit
Rex.
furry, isn't
We
he?
see a mosquito land on the face of the dead T-Rex, sucking blood from it and flying off. Then we hard cut to 65 million years later, and we see the InGen clone of that same T-Rex running from a helicopter which is trying to capture it on mainland America. The Rex eventually does get captured and sent to Biosyn Sanctuary, whereabouts it comes face to face with another Giganotosaurus and manages to avenge its own death by killing this Giga to become the new apex of this valley. Whilst not literally supposed to be taken as the Rex remembering its own death to avenge itself, that would be stupid, as one is dead and won't retain memory of that incident.
I do like that idea though. Just the fact that the
Yeah.
genetic memory is left behind. Oh, how awful would that be though? Like you die and then suddenly you wake up and it's like millions of years later and you're some mad scientist's experiment.
That's kind of reincarnation.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much even like, I think there's even like a line of dialogue in the Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the 1994 version with Kenneth Branagh and Robert De Niro, where the monster is asking like, how do I know how to play this flute or read and all that? And Frankenstein's all like, trace memories of the brain, perhaps. It's like,
I think that's part of like the Frankenstein's monster narrative is that he's cobbled together a new man sort of thing. He thinks it's just like it's a blank slate, as it were, but slowly but surely it starts remembering stuff, and I think that's just part of the whole Frankenstein narrative of what is the soul, etc.
yeah, what even is the self essentially. And if you're not, if your sense of self isn't even like just kind of been discarded essentially, and you find out that you were just created just to see if the creator could make you essentially, like what would that be like? Like how would you even take that sort of news? And this Frankenstein sort of like cautionary tale, like this is what happens when this.
It's the whole, what is my purpose? To pass the salt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Frankenstein's essentially like, this is what happens when your creation doesn't take the news well. Excuse me. Okay.
Anyway.
It's more a narrative for the audience to follow, as director Colin Trevorrow explained in this behind-the-scenes clip.
The sequence recontextualizes the ending of the film. It gives it much more power and much more weight because we understand that the T-Rex is avenging her own death 65 million years later.
What goes around comes around once again. In the scene where the Giganotosaurus meets its fate, we're shown more circular motifs, most notably the Rex appearing behind a circular water feature and the location where the final battle takes place, the circular Biosyn facility. Even the Giganotosaurus and the Tyrannosaurus circle one another in the opening scene and this final battle. And remember, I mentioned at the start of the video that in Persian mythology, the treasure of a defeated dragon is passed to a king who represents the good. Well, who inherits Biosyn Valley from the Giganotosaurus? Why, the king of the dinosaurs and fan favourite, the Tyrannosaurus, of course, which is greeted by other Tyrannosaurs to live out its remaining days in peace.
Which doesn't at all cause a lot of narrative problems with the whole thing, but never mind.
Exactly. It's like T-Rex should be like, where the fuck were you guys?
That is this scene, this screenshot right here, just a bubble. Where the hell were you two?
Yeah, exactly. Bro is cooking with these circles.
They
Like
they went to buy
donuts.
fucking cigarettes. Never came back. Suddenly you win the valley, and boom, here we are, back with the milk.
A lot of Circle K's in
That's-
this movie.
As you can see here, the Tyrannosaur is turning and creating a half circle, making it the other half of the narrative of the T-Rex Giganotus rivalry that we see from the beginning to the end of the film.
Yeah, I do want to say that one thing, like, because so far I've been very like understanding, but I do want to say that, like, when two animals fight each other, they normally circle. Like that's what we always do when we depict a fight in fiction. Like 9 out of 10
Were they
times.
circling? Were they circling the people, like the main characters?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Oh my
they
God.
do the
If
circle
you
as
just keep
well
going with
during.
this.
Yeah, like even Rexy and Giga like do the circle thing, over the deer carcass. So it's not even like.
Yeah.
So this is just kind of a thing that animals do, really.
Yeah. It's the tension before the fight. Not all animals do it all the time, but when you are making like a fight in a movie, normally it's like the first thing you do. It's almost like a trope at this point, before the fight they circle each other, you have the tension with the music that's building up, and then they roar, and then they jump at each other. Something like
Obi-Wan
that.
and
Like,
Anakin do a circle. They circle each other before they begin their fight. It's,
yeah.
what goes around comes around. The circle is now complete.
Now I am the master. Oh God, we're gonna need to stop doing the circles.
You're the master of evil, Darth. Anyway.
So, both Dodson and the Giganotosaurus stories mirror one another. Both are the apexes of their respected domains. Both seem calm and collected on the surface, but have the capacity to lash out dangerously and aggressively. They both even...
that visual.
What? Well, the capacity, yeah, but again, the Giga doesn't do anything.
Both
Yeah,
are
the
the
Giga's
apexes
not
of their
evil.
respected domains. Both seem calm and collected on the surface, but have the capacity to lash out dangerously and aggressively. They both...
Oh, missed it again. God damn it. There, you're getting it. You're getting it.
Yeah.
There we go. The dance.
I love the dance.
Lash out aggressively.
There it is!
Is the Giga lashing out though? Or is it just being a predator?
It's just being a predator. But then that scene doesn't make a lot of sense with the whole... He just stands around for ages watching them climb the ladder and then attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They don't
lash out
circle in the
dangerously
deer
and
scene.
aggressively. They both even walk pretty slow, and both pick a fight and try to kill the newer and older generation of heroes, which is ultimately what leads to their demise. And most important...
So I'm going to listen to that bit again.
Pick a fight and try to kill the newer and older generation of heroes, which is ultimately what leads to their demise.
Does Giganotus trying to kill the main cast and lead to his demise?
Not really.
Not during in the scene where he is actually attacking them on the platform, like he just runs away after they tase him in the eye and all that. But he doesn't even acknowledge, like, he only acknowledges them one time after he defeats Rexy.
Yeah. This would only work
Doesn't even
if
kill
the
them.
spear actually killed it. Which again will give more meaning to the St. George thing.
Oh, but you don't understand. Therizinosaurus was the lance or the spear that went in
Three
through the
spears.
throat.
Well,
It's in the
6
mouth.
spears.
Did you get it?
Yeah,
I mean-
it could be technically, like spears.
Yeah.
Hey, but you cannot throw a lance. Hey, what was the word? Lance for what St. George actually used? I forgot how you say it in English.
Yeah, that's right. The Therizinosaurus doesn't even throw its claws, because the claws are attached. So those are lances,
Yes,
exactly.
boom.
Got him.
You've ruined the joke I was about to come up with.
Oh.
The Therizinosaurus, its nickname is Brittany.
Oh.
Britney Spears doesn't work anymore.
It's Brittany,
Yeah.
bitch.
Isn't a thing.
And most importantly, both Dodson and the Giganotosaurus are dragons hoarding treasure. With Dodson, it's more literal, with the dinosaurs and genetic power representing the treasure he hoards, and with the Giganotosaurus, it's more metaphorical, as it sits upon piles of golden amber underneath its dominion.
I would have said it was
Treasure?
more visual, but oh yeah, his argument is that Giganotus is a dragon or represents a dragon sitting atop a pile of gold because its territory is over the amber mines.
Oh.
Yeah, and we kind of like discussed how the metaphor doesn't really work because the Giga pretty much either has never been into the cave of the amber mines or is even aware of the amber mine. So a dragon protecting gold, the dragon would have to be aware that the gold is there in the first place for it to protect it, to actively protect it at least.
Yeah.
I think thanks to this video pointing out, I think the Giganotus like visually representing the dragon, not necessarily like in enacting a dragon story or even metaphorically or anything like that. But it does draw like the mind's eye to the idea of the dragon hoarding and then brings that to Dodgson. So in that regard, it's good.
Yeah, it's like two halves of the same coin, right? Technically, like you have the visual part and you have the narrative element of it.
Right.
Well, it's metaphor.
If you're trying to
Metaprolololol.
I know what metaphorical is, but
both of these characters playing significant roles in the closing of a narrative loop which began with Jurassic Park. I'd like to thank
Again, Dodgson, yes. Giganotus, not so much.
Yeah, it's there's at least there's at least stuff here in the movie, in the film itself, in the text of the film, or even like just the visuals of it, where I could see how the interpretation got to where it is. There's connective tissue there, and some of it does fit, I can say. Yeah, it's just the others. There's others that are just like, I don't know about that. But yeah.
To me, most of the stuff he said, I think, like it's possible. Some of it, to me, like almost definitely, like the costume design with, I already forgot his name again.
Ramsey?
The black guy, Ramsey. Yeah, like the thing with Ramsey and like the inversion of colors, and then with the reference to Nedry and what comes around goes around, like all of that. Yeah, like that's really good. The dragon part specifically is the only one that's like, you're maybe halfway there, and that's like again like a maybe.
In
I
this
still think
regard,
it's
think of it. Sorry. But this video pointed out all these different things like the circles and the circular narratives and the visual indicators and the metaphorical connections. It's like this film has a lot of ideas that make it up into what could have been quite the impressive end to the Jurassic Park / World franchise. It's like, but it's a great example of here's a load of really good ideas, and then here's how it's all executed.
Yeah,
and that's where it kind of falls down.
It's
Yeah.
very
And
all
that's
over
the
the
thing.
place.
That's if the ideas were there to begin with, which it's mostly a maybe, at least with the first half of the video. To be fair.
That's where it's kind of like the film is that bad that it's someone bringing this sort of stuff up. You're like, I could believe that maybe these were there. They just weren't very well acted upon. That's the
Executed.
problem.
Yeah.
The film has a lot of good ideas, but they don't gel together necessarily.
Yeah, and there's probably like
No.
two, and there's like so many of those ideas that they just weren't able to juggle them all the best, really.
Right.
Because it's like it's a really packed film in terms of like what it was trying to do plot wise, story wise. That for all things considered, like a lot of it doesn't really quite isn't really developed all that great, in the long run. And not to mention, and that's kind of why the plot is just kind of a convoluted mess as it is. They're trying to do way too much.
But at least the video is good.
Yeah, the video.
I like it.
Yeah, I like the video.
Man for helping inspire this video
It's just
through our
advertising now.
discussions about visual storytelling in the Jurassic movies on social media, and Shinobi Free for helping point out the costume links between Ramsey and Nedry in a post he did. Link to their profiles are below. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please subscribe.
Yeah, it's the end. Cool.
Yep. Yeah, let me
He's
just-
saying something in the chat.
Didn't even mention
You want
how
to read it or should
Rex. I mean, you can go right ahead. I have it up here.
I didn't even mention how the Rex embodies InGen and Giga embodies Biosyn, and how their conflict plays out as a visual story of those two companies and how they operate.
Like, by the way, Terrordome, like, if you would like to, like, come in and, like, talk about it, since it's not in the video, like, depending on how
I think
much
he said he's traveling or something.
Oh, okay. But
I don't know
like,
if he's done
I do
traveling
think
or
that's
not.
interesting. But the thing is it mentioned that Biosyn made the Giga? Like, in specific, they made it?
Yeah, Biosyn made the Giganotosaurus in particular.
Ooh, hey, then honestly, yeah, like, that could also be one of the things that they were trying to do on purpose. Like, the Rex is the last remaining part of, InGen. Yeah. Me.
Yeah.
Again, like, I'm so tired because we are technically always saying maybe, but yeah, as we explained, it's always a maybe with movies that don't have like the executions. But yeah, no, like, thematically, I think that everything he mentions, and even this thing right now that he wrote on the comments, like, yeah, I like it. Again, it's the execution that's the problem. But like, if you tell me that that's what the director was intending to do, yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. There's quite a bit in there's quite a bit in all these Jurassic World movies, including Dominion, where it's like if it was just executed better, like we would have had something special, really. Check out my Fallen Kingdom visual videos. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that. Yeah. Neat
This
little
video's
video.
made me depressed now.
Because of
Just
the
like all
wasted
these good
potential.
ideas. Yeah, just like here's loads of good ideas, and then we made this out of them.
Well, if like, if we've been talking about GVXK for so long, like, I think that I'm immune at this point because we come up with better things than whatever they did on the script. Basically, every single stream.
Yeah. Like, so yeah, apparently Dominion had some pretty neat stuff on the mind, all things considered, at least conceptually. Execution just wasn't quite there. So, It isn't just, oh my god, they did the locusts. Oh, how horrible. It's kind of just like, no, there's a little there's stuff that it also tried to do that's like in more competent hands. It could have been better realized.
Yeah, absolutely. It's either a case of look how many good ideas they had put into this film, or it's a case of look how many more things they messed up.
A little bit, yeah.
I want
yeah,
to make a video on the flipping Giganotus scene. I think that might be my next one after this.
Oh God, yeah. That's the blocking. I mean, the blocking in that scene alone, like with the people running from the Giga, it's just, like what even was that? It's
What was wrong with the blocking there?
The blocking, or it's just kind of. It's the way that scene was done, the way it was kind of like directed was incredibly awkward, really. Like there's like points where it seemed like it started out with like two or three people up to the top of the thing and as more try to climb up, and I mean, we've kind of gone over the discussion stream with the minion.
I remember now what you're talking about. Yeah, I recall.
Yeah. There's a lot wrong with it. But I don't really have anything else to say other than good video overall.
Yeah,
messy edits.
The blocking stuff.
Oh yeah, that scene. Yeah, the edits were a mess. Yeah, that's for sure. But in that scene, not your video is well edited, I would say. But I mean, I can't really think of anything else to say other than kind of a. I guess we'll just start wrapping up because I don't know where else to go from here.
No. Honestly, we did say basically everything there was to say. Even more now that he mentioned the engine and bias and things. So yeah, all I would like to add is like keep it up. Like this was really good. So thanks for making it.
Yeah, it's a neat video. Go check out, folks. Go check out Terradome 3000. Check out his stuff.
Yeah,
worth a look.
Thank you for not being a dick.
Yeah, I mean, after what we've had to deal with recently, this is a nice reprieve. Let's just say.
But on that note, there is a video I'm working on literally now. It will probably be out tomorrow, so look forward to that.
Oh, I can't wait.
Me neither.
It's going to be a hell of a lot better than the other video. I can tell you that for free.
Yeah, it'll probably be better than even my video, as well. I'm sure.
There's actually stuff that I don't mention in the video. I might have to now work those in. Now I'm thinking about it. But during his stream, he says something like, you fell into my trap," and it's like, what the hell are we talking about?
Sounds like a Bond villain.
I know, but my first video was it was such a confused mess because I changed basically the entire mood of it partway through, and him trying to tear it apart was so bad that it's given me so much ammo to work with, and it's almost like I trapped him by accident.
He stepped into a bear trap that you accidentally just dropped on the floor, somewhere.
I've trapped you. He's like, your leg's coming off. But
where'd that guy come from?
It's just a flesh wound.
Apparently, he was a Screen Rant blog post writer.
I see.
Oh yeah. And it's funny because he doesn't know that like 90% of the fandom disagreed very, very, very much with his top ranking.
His opinions are. I think I said it to Omnivore at one point. It's like his opinions change with the wind. As much as
Ooh.
everyone says, oh, in his stream, people said, oh, you've got such strong beliefs. It's like, but everything he says changes depending on like opinion.
He's like a turd in the wind.
Oh my god, I'm using it. I'm putting that.
Oh god, that's great.
Oh, remember when he said Dangerville is like this really big voice in the Godzilla community?
Oh, he's
He said that
Oh.
somewhere in his response, and I just thought to myself, like,
I would
that's
not be
the
surprised.
most. Yeah, no, he said it, and I was like, that's the most basic bitch thing you can know if you're like going around the fandom. You know, like if you dig deeper, you will know that like Dangerville is very popular, but
Yeah,
he
it's-
doesn't have that many opinions.
That was quite funny because I mean, hey, look, Dangerville said this, and he thinks the same as me. It's like, well, no, you probably just stole his idea, like you've been stealing other people's like lines and whatnot. But the really funny thing about that is, to me, he says, "Look, Dangerville, like authority figure, isn't he? Shouldn't you be listening to him?" And then my
No.
immediate response was, "Dangerville backed down from me on a point."
Oh man.
But that's
It's
not
like-
even like the main thing. For what I've seen,
I mean,
most
yeah,
people agree
arguments from
that
authority are a shit thing to do anyway, especially in a fandom.
Yeah. I'm telling you, this guy. I'm telling you, that guy could eat. I can imagine that guy just accidentally stumbling upon this and be like, "Can you believe that these guys, even after
It
doing
won't be
a
an
stream
accident.
on Jurassic World Dominion, they still are talking shit about me?"
Don't worry, Anthony. We'll be blocking you after this. Don't you worry.
For 2 hours and 40 minutes, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
By the way,
And,
actually, like I don't even like dislike the guy necessarily. Like bad takes on media, like whatever. I don't really care. But after your video, see Monster, I should clarify. Like it was exactly what I needed to understand why you had like issues with him, because it was like the full context that I would have never gone back to check on. To be fair, because I don't care about Twitter and all of that. Yeah. So thanks for that. Not sure how long you guys are streaming for, but okay.
I think we were literally about to finish, weren't we?
Yeah.
He just said I may be able to join. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how long we should keep it going for before you join. Because I don't know.
I need to go and have dinner. If I'm being honest, it's 9 o'clock here.
Yeah. Same for me.
I'll take off too.
Like,
okay.
look, if he wants to come here. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say that if he wants to come here,
he says he'll save it for another night. Which
okay.
All right, that's fine. We'll plan a date. Yeah, just kind of. I guess we'll just do our plugs right now. But just before we go. But thank you all for coming on. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you TD3K for being a Chad. Giganotosaurus Chad,
Yeah, well done, sir.
Sure. Who wants to shill first?
I'll go quickly, since I'm hungry. I am Cyanimus on YouTube, Cyanimus on Twitter, Cyanimus on Blue Sky. A video will be coming out tomorrow, almost certainly, and it will be the end of a saga. So yes, look forward to that. And some more videos will be coming, almost certainly one on Jurassic World Dominion. But yes, that's me.
Yeah. All right.
Well, all I have to say is there are some things coming up. For the first time, actually, I decided that I'm going to do some projects, and basically I'm going to start streaming as soon as I save up for a mic, because my microphone is like really bad, and I already gave it a couple of attempts just to see if I can maybe set things up to make it better, but like it's not really good. So I'm going to start streaming soon on Twitch, maybe on YouTube as soon as like I get enough subscribers for them to let me do lives and all of that. And yeah, like soon enough, shit's coming. I'm
Alright,
coming.
It is coming.
I am
Ugh.
just Hokage Muto on Twitter. That's who I am. So there we go.
All right, cool. And this has been your host, the Sea Monster. You can follow me here on YouTube, where I have where I post videos and do streams. The next stream I'll be hosting, don't really have a set date for it yet, but it seems like it will be on Jurassic World Rebirth, which I'm planning on seeing as soon as it comes out, and hopefully I'll plan a stream, not too long afterwards for that. Follow me on Twitter, Sea Monster, KCI, for any further updates on whether or not the next live stream will be, which would be that, or the Rebirth.
Oh, he's gone.
Well, he was always a racist, so it's normal that he, turns off the microphone. I hear that that's what happens to racist people.
That's why he didn't like Ramsey.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, hi, see.
Oh, okay. I could hear you guys there, right? For some reason, my phone just keeps going to black. For some reason, I have to keep lightly tapping the screen with my thumb just to make sure it doesn't. Yeah, apparently that's what's going on here. I don't know why. It usually doesn't do that. But yeah. And as far as my, other whatever videos I have going on or coming up, hoping to get my Nosferatu video done, by October.
Ooh.
Should be, or by the end of the year, whichever one, but it is a work in progress. The script should be pretty close to being done, but yeah, I'll just keep you all, stay updated here on YouTube or on my Twitter, and yeah, I guess that next time, folks, we will see you all later. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.